You guys ready for some fun today? I hope you enjoyed the first session. Now we're gonna have some fun talking about the next piece of the puzzle. As you guys know, everything we're doing through this whole entire 3-day event, one thing built on the next, on the next, on the next. That's why you don't miss anything, don't miss any session, because you'll miss like the foundation for the next piece, the next piece, the next piece. And so right now, as I told you guys before, you know the focus point of this event, right? Step number 1 is create a level 10 offer, which by the way is what we're gonna be doing during this session. After that, then we go and craft a one-to-many sales presentation to sell the level 10 offer. After we got that, then we take the one-to-many presentation, we plug it into your virtual stage, AKA your funnel. And then from there, that's how we get on the road to 2 commas worth of impact. So what that means right now is we're gonna focus on creating your level 10 offer. Okay, again, as you guys know, what Chris just mentioned, do not forget, we're gonna have a conversation dialogue together. Right now, go to hangoutwithrussell.com. That'll redirect you to the community we have right now set up. If I pull back here, we should just pull the thread. There it is. Aha moment, session number 2, offer secrets. Click on that and drop in all the ahas as they're coming in. The more ahas you drop, the better. Again, during the break, I was reading through the ahas from the last session. I even tweaked a couple things for today to make sure they're synced because of what you guys told us. So keep dropping the ahas. The more, the merrier. The more ahas we get, the more excited I'm going to be. If you're like, I got nothing from this, Russell, it's not going to help me. So again, my love language is words of affirmation. So tell me, give me the ahas, give me the ideas you get, and fire them off in there, and then it'll fire me up, okay? Again, that's hangoutwithrussell.com. Okay. Now, before we dive too deep into how to create a level 10 offer, I want to explain something very, very important, okay? To be able to do this, to be able to make the money you guys want, to be able to impact that you want to have in the world, you have to change the level of value that you're operating at. Okay, and so to explain this, I learned this concept originally from Myron Golden. You guys had a chance to hear from him earlier, and you hear a couple more times from Myron throughout this event. But Myron taught me this concept. He calls it the 4 levels of value. And we're going to be focusing on transitioning you guys to a higher level of value today through 2 different sessions right now. Both of them are focusing on moving the level of value. But I want to explain this first so you guys can understand how do you actually make money in this world, okay? When Myron first explained to me, it was like one of these aha moments I had. So the first level of value is what he called implementation. Okay, this is where you use your muscles to make money, right? So think about this, out in the workforce, out in the world, as you want to go start making money, the very first level of value, you're providing value for someone by using your muscles to do something, right? So this is any kind of manual labor work, right? My kids right now, one of my sons works doing asphalt repairs, so he's manually working with his muscles. One of my kids is working in a fast food restaurant using his muscles, right? There's people who are sitting at computers typing, they're using their muscles, right? And so the first level is implementation, it's where you use your muscles to make money, right? And you can make pretty good money doing this, but there's always a cap, right? As you're trying to grow, you're like, hey, I get stronger, I get better, my skill sets get better, but eventually there's always this gap, okay? You think about people who use their muscles to make money, usually it typically tops out, at the high end, maybe $70,000 to $80,000 a year is kind of where you get to the spot where you're using your muscles to make money, and then it kind of just taps out. Right? Now, the interesting thing is that the people that typically work the hardest in the world are the people who are using their muscles to make money. But even though they're the ones who are working the hardest, they're not able to make more money because they're stuck at this level of value. Right? And so this is where most people make mistakes when they're trying to figure out how to make more money. It's like, well, how do I work harder then? How do I work smarter? Like they're trying to do these things and they're trying to figure out better ways to get the most out of their muscles. But no matter how hard they try, they always cap out eventually. And there's this income, this gap, the ceiling on their income. Right? And I don't know about you, but I hate ceilings on my income. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I had to walk you guys through the 3 levels of selling. It's very similar, right? So the very first level is implementation. Now, this next way, if you want to make more money, again, you can't just get better at your muscles. You get capped out 70, 80 grand a year. The next way is to change the level of value they're operating at. Okay? So if you move from using your muscles to make money, the next level of value up higher is what's called unification. This is management skill. You're managing a bunch of people. Okay? You're taking a lot of people who are using their muscles to make money and you're managing them together. And now you're managing, let's say, 8 people who are using their muscles. So more stuff gets done, more value is created because it's not just you, it's you managing 8 people or 10 people, whatever that is. And so you make more money, right? So again, you shift from implementation to unification, you're able to make more money. Now, how much do really good managers make? Okay, good managers are anywhere from like $80,000 a year to maybe, $150,000 a year? Maybe $200,000 if you're in the right industry, right job, right location, whatever, okay? So it's great, you're making more money, but once again, there's another ceiling, right? Like managers have a ceiling. Like you look at, Indeed or go to any of the job sites, like a manager, like, as a manager, make between this and this, like that's kind of the ceiling. You don't make more than that typically as a manager, okay? So if you want to make more money, you can't just become better at managing people. You have to shift the level of value they're operating in. Okay? Now, the next 2 levels of value are the most important. That's what we're going to be focusing the rest of today on, helping you guys to learn and to master and to understand. Okay? The coolest thing about the next 2 levels of value is that these ones do not have a ceiling. okay? The next level of value moving up is called communication. This is where you're using your mouth to make money, okay? Which is what this whole event's about, right? Speaking to sell, one-to-many presentations, learning how to communicate correctly, right? You look at like the great communicators. It could be actors, could be musicians, like people learn how to use their mouths to make money are the ones who make the most amount of money, right? Salespeople using their mouth to make money, okay? So that's the next level up is communication. And again, if you're really good at communicating, the sky's the limit. There's no ceiling on how much money you can make. But then there's one other level of value above communication, and this is imagination, using your mind and your money to make money, okay? And so those are the 4 levels. Now, what we're be focusing today on this session specifically is imagination, okay? How do you use imagination to make money? How do you create something that people will give you money for? So for me, when I'm thinking about using imagination to make money, this is where I'm gonna be creating an offer. Using my imagination to create something that somebody's gonna give me money for, okay? So this whole session is gonna be focusing on the top level value, level 4. Our next session will be focusing on number 3, which is communication and how to use our mouth to sell the thing that we imagine that we created. Does that sound like fun? Okay, I wanted to get that out of the way so you guys understand, like that's where we're operating at throughout this whole presentation, okay? That's how you make the most amount of money is by operating at level 3 and level 4, not at level 1 and level 2. I'm curious, by the way, how many of you guys right now in the work that you're in, how many of you guys are in level 1 level of value? If you're level 1 right now, put it at level 1. If you're number 2, you're in management, type in level 2. Okay? If you're number 3, type in number 3. If you're number 4, type in number 4. I see what you guys are coming in at. Okay, we got lots of ones, a lot of twos. That's our managers. We got our workers. A lot of you guys working your muscles. We got a couple level 3s. Some of you guys are using your mouth to make money, which is good. Okay, level 3s, and then 1 or 2 4s. Not a lot of 4s. Okay, so that's the goal right now is teach you guys how to use your imagination to make money. And then next session, we'll use your communication to sell what you imagine and what you create. Does that sound like fun? Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do right now is jump into session number 2, which is called offer secrets. How to create an offer that people will give you money for, okay? Now, before I jump too deep into offer secrets, I wanna talk about what I think is probably the most important framework probably of everything I've ever teach. In fact, if you come over here, these are my core books, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, Traffic Secrets. If you look at these 3 books, all my frameworks are inside here about growing a business and scaling a business. I hope you had a chance to read them. If not, seriously, you should read these books. They're like my life in the last 2 decades of my life are all put inside these books. But there's one framework that's in all 3 of the books because it's that important. And the framework that's in all 3 of the books is called Hook, Story, Offer. Okay, we pull up right here. This is Hook, Story, Offer. So let me walk you through the process, okay? A hook is basically, the goal of a hook is to grab someone's attention. So if you have a customer, they're on their cell phone, they're swiping through up and down, all of a sudden your goal is to hook them and to grab their attention, right? And so I gotta have an ad or something that grabs their attention, it's the hook that grabs their attention, right? And the goal of the hook is to grab their attention just long enough that I can tell them a story, okay? Now the goal of the story is to increase the perceived value of the offer that I'm about to make them. And then from there, we make them an offer, okay? So hook, story, offer. Now, throughout the next couple of days, I'm gonna keep coming back to this core framework, hook, story, offer, because we're gonna use it over and over and over again, okay? It's very, very important. In fact, it's interesting when somebody hires me for consulting, they always come and, they want me to fix their funnels or their traffic or their ads or something. And what's funny about this is like, when I'm consulting someone, like no matter what the problem is, the answer is always hook, story, offer, right? If your ads aren't working, either the hook of the ad's not good, or maybe the hook's good, but then the story's no good, or the offer, right? If your funnel's not working, the landing page isn't working, it's either the hook, the story, or the offer. If your sales page, your sales video's not working, it's always the hook, the story, or the offer. So literally, someone paid me $100,000 for a 1-day consult. We sit down and they're like, hey, here's my funnel. I'm like, it's not working, Russell, what should I do? And I'll look at the ad, I'm like, is the ad working? They're like, no, not really. I'm like, okay, well, it's either the hook, story, or the offer. Which one do you think it is? And they're like, maybe it's the hook. I'm like, yeah, maybe, like, what would you do for a new hook, right? And then the landing page working? Like, yeah, cool. And they go to the sales video. I was like, sales video working? No, like, what? It's either the hook, the story, the offer. Which one do you think it is? And they're like, maybe the offer's no good. I'm like, yeah, what would you do instead? And that's literally what I do for consulting, okay? Do you guys have there's the big magic trick. Hook, story, offer. We use this over and over and over again, okay? So again, like I said, we'll be talking about this over the next couple of days. But today, this session right now, I want to focus on the 3rd part. So we're not going to focus on the hook or the story. We're going to focus on the step number 3 here, which is the offer. The offer is the thing that somebody is buying from you, okay? I always think about offers. An offer is like, I will give you this in exchange for this. That's what an offer is, right? So if I'm selling a product, what I typically do, if you see me sell anything, I don't care if you're buying a book from me or a course or a mastermind or whatever, I always have what I call an offer stack slide, okay? Or I say, hey, if you give me X amount of dollars, I'm gonna give you this. And like, here's the first thing you get, the second thing, and I create an offer stack, right? And I'm trading them that for money. So that's kind of what an offer is. And so what I want to do now is, this whole session, Offer Secrets, is about how to create an offer that people will want to give you money for. Does that sound like fun? How many of you guys, first off, how many of you guys have an offer right now that you are selling? I got an offer. You have an offer. Say, I've got an offer. What I'm curious, how many of you guys have an offer? If you don't, you say, I don't have an offer. Okay. All right, we got both sides. We got people with offers, people without offers. Okay, the good news for you, if you're not making money yet online, the reason why is you don't have an offer. If you're not making enough money online, it means you don't have a good offer. You don't have a great offer, level 10 offer, okay? Or if you, like, it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, the offer is the first part, the foundation of everything we'll be talking about. Okay, so let's jump into our first paradigm shift. The first paradigm shift I want you to have is an offer is the way that you change somebody's life. Okay, this is the paradigm shift. A lot of you guys think an offer is the way I make money. Yes, that is true. But the paradigm shift I want you to have is the offer is the way that you actually change somebody's life. And as I was preparing this presentation today, I started thinking back about the offers that have changed my life. These are not offers that I made, but these are offers that other people made to me, right? And these offers completely shifted and changed my life forever. Okay, so the first example, right here, these are my first two mentors. One of them on the one side is Mark Joyner, and the other one's Dan Kennedy. So Mark Joyner was my very first mentor online. And I remember I was like a lot of you guys. I jumped on the internet. I was trying to figure out how to make some money, and I didn't know what to do. I was buying everything, trying everything, going through it. I was like studying the whole, I was trying to consume everything to learn how do I make money on the internet. And I was really, really struggling at the time. I had just met my beautiful wife. We had just gotten married. I was trying to figure out how to support her. She was working her job. I was wrestling as a student athlete. I was like, how do I make money to help support my wife? And we were at the point where we were so broke. Literally, this is the picture of us. The first year of marriage, we had these credit cards that we inherited when we got married from both sides of us. We had these credit cards together, and they're all maxed out. And so we had this night where we cut all the credit cards up. And this is kind of a joke picture of Colette crying. But this is like where we were at in our life. We just got married. We had no money. We were in credit card debt from before we got married. And that was it. My wife was working, making $9.50 an hour as a receptionist, a secretary, and I was a student athlete making $0 an hour. And that was how we started our whole marriage, right? And so I'm like, I got to figure out how to make some money. I was trying all sorts of stuff. And I remember after trying a whole bunch of things, nothing really worked. I was trying to sell stuff on eBay. I was trying to flip things on Craigslist. I was trying everything. Nothing was working. And then one day I started getting a whole bunch of emails. And the emails came about from, not from Mark Joyner, but from all these affiliates who were promoting Mark Joyner's course. Now, Mark Joyner at the time, he was the biggest internet marketing guru on the internet, and he was retiring from internet marketing. And so I remember seeing the emails, everyone saying, Mark Joyner's retiring, he's retiring. So I clicked on these ads, and he was making an offer. He had a course, basically said, I'm retiring from the internet. A lot of people won't tell you what they actually are doing because they're still in business. He's like, I'm out of here, I'm done. And so because of that, I'm gonna tell you everything I'm doing. I'm also gonna give you my source code. He made this irresistible offer, and I looked, I was like, I have to have this. If I had this, it would change everything for me. And I remember after reading like a 45-page sales letter, at the very end, the course was $1,000. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, at the time, $1,000 could have been $1 million. I didn't have $1,000. Like, it was insane, right? Again, my wife was making $9.50 an hour. I was making $0 an hour. We had a credit card debt, right? We had no money. $1,000 could have been $1 million. I was just like, we can't afford that. I remember seeing that and being like, oh, dang, like, that could have been the thing. Maybe that was the thing that was supposed to change my life. But I couldn't afford it. And that was kind of it. And I remember just kind of waiting. And then it was like the next day and the next week, people kept talking about it and promoting it. I kept seeing emails and the ads and everything. I was just like, I wish I could afford this. Wish I could afford it. And then eventually got to the point where they were about to sell out. And they started adding urgency and scarcity. And I remember the night before the cart was closing, they sent out this message. It was basically like, it was like a 6-hour audio, a teleseminar. This is before we had podcasts. This teleseminar. So I downloaded this recorded teleseminar. And all night long, I listened to these guys talking about what was inside the Mark Joyner farewell package, how it changed their life, all sorts of stuff. And I remember sitting there like, if I just had this, this would be the thing. But I don't have any money, right? I can't afford it right now. And I remember sitting in bed, like sick to my stomach, like trying to figure out how could I do, like how could I get the money? What would it look like? Like tomorrow morning, this opportunity disappears forever. And then I remember next morning, I was laying in bed, so I hadn't fallen asleep all night long. And my wife woke up. She looks at me. She's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I was just kind of until I was stressed. I was like. I explained, like, this guy, Mark Joyner, I think he's the guy that could teach me. Like, I feel like if I just had this, I think we could be successful. And I remember, it's tough for her. She's working, supporting her jobless student athlete husband. And I think for her, she could have been like, no, like, that's insane. But for whatever reason, she looked at me and she said, do you think this is the one that'll really help you to be successful? I was like, I really think it is. And she's like, okay, then I trust you. She's like, you can go buy it. I was like, but with what? We don't have $1,000. And so I remember we literally called the bank up and said, hey, I know our credit cards are maxed out. Is there any way we can get $1,000 added to the credit card limit? And lo and behold, guess what banks do? They say, sure. And so they added $1,000 to my credit card limit. I went to the website, put my $1,000 in, ordered the farewell package from Mark Joyner. It showed up at my house. And I remember, because I got it, I was like, I have to make this successful. Like, I have to pay off the $1,000. Plus, like, I told my wife, this is the thing. I got to prove that it's going to work, right? And so for me, it was like, there's like, I have to make this work, whatever it takes. And so I took that, and I started going through the process. And from there is how I learned how to launch my very first business. I launched launched the line, started growing, and Mark was my first mentor. And I remember I met him a couple years later, and I told him this story. And he's like, man, I had no idea that when you signed up, you didn't have the money to do it. He's like, man, if I would have known that, maybe I would have just given it to you. And I was like, if you would have just given it to me, I wouldn't have respected it. Do you understand? I was like, that offer changed my life. Like my entire trajectory of my life was shifted because you were willing to make me an offer that I couldn't afford. And I had to step out of my comfort zone to buy that thing. And because of it, changed my life forever, right? So a good offer can change your life. So that was my story with Mark Joyner. Okay, fast forward a year later, I get introduced to this guy here named Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy runs these big mastermind groups. He's got all these kind of things. And I remember I wanted to get, I remember hearing about his mastermind group. I bought these CDs. It was called like the $279,000 mastermind group, right? So I bought these CDs, I was listening to it, and it was crazy. It was Dan Kennedy was facilitating this mastermind meeting, and around the table were all of the gurus who I'd seen online, like Ron LeGrand, who was the biggest real estate guru at the time. He was on there. And then the top stock guru was in this recording, and the top dental guru and chiropractic guru, like all the gurus, all the industries were in this room, and Dan Kennedy was teaching them all. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where all these guys are going to learn. And it was in this mastermind group. I need to get in that mastermind group. So I remember I contacted his company. I was like, hey, I want to be in Dan Kennedy's mastermind group. And they're like, sorry, it's sold out. And it's a waiting list for like 3 years long. So put your name yourself on the waiting list, and maybe we'll let you know in a couple years. And I remember so I put my name on the waiting list. Next day, I was just like, I got to be in that group. Like all the people who are doing what I want to do in every industry are in this group. I need to be in this group at whatever cost. So I call them back. I'm like, hey, I need to be in the group. What's it going to take? Like, how do I bump myself to the front of the line? Like, there's got to be an opening. And they're like, no. We keep going back and forth and back and forth. I started faxing their office because they're a big fax machine office. I was faxing their office, doing all sorts of stuff. And finally, after 3 or 4 weeks of me just harassing them to let me in the group, whoever it was on their team was like, fine, here's the order form. Go sign up. And so they sent me the order form. I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm going to be in Dan Kennedy's mastermind group. This is insane. I get the order form. I open it up, $25,000. I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm like, $25,000? I don't even have, I had barely made maybe $25,000 total in my business up to that point. And they wanted me to give $25,000 to go meet with some guy. But at the same time, I was like, I talked to VK why I need to be in this group, why I was good enough to be in it. And so I remember I didn't tell my wife. This was probably a bad one. I didn't tell my wife. I messaged back, said, yes, I'm in. And I sent them money on a credit card, sent them the money to get in this group. And Dan Kennedy got me into his mastermind group. And again, it was an offer that I couldn't afford. I could not afford the $25,000 to be there, but it stretched me. It forced me to go and try something, right? So I made that stretch. It went in this thing, and it literally changed my life forever. Okay, I went into this mastermind group with a business that maybe made $25,000 total, and I was in that group for 6 years. By the time it was done, my company was doing over 8 figures a year, and I thank Dan Kennedy to this day. In fact, I had a chance a couple of years ago to actually buy his company from him, and so I bought this company from him years later from the stuff that I learned from him. It's kind of crazy, right? And I told him, man, you changed my life. You being willing to make an offer literally changed my life forever. It was an offer I couldn't afford, but because it pushed me and it stretched me, that's why I had success. And so I want you guys to understand that we're not just making offers to make yourself money. The people who buy your offers, just between Mark Joyner and Dan Kennedy, my two mentors, me stretching and buying their offers is literally the thing that changed my life forever. So the first paradigm shift I want you to have to understand is that offers are the things that change people's lives, okay? Your customers' lives, by you doing podcasts, YouTube videos, it's great, but that's not gonna change their life. When they make a financial commitment to do something and they actually give you money, that's how you have the ability to actually change their life, okay? All right, paradigm shift number 2. You don't actually sell products. Okay, this is the big problem a lot of people understand. It's hey, what's the product you're gonna create? What's the product you're gonna sell? No, you don't understand. You don't sell products, you solve problems. Okay, business and offers is all about figuring out what are problems people have, and then what are you gonna, how do you solve those problems? And the better you get at solving problems, the more money you're actually gonna make. This is why to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be super creative. A lot of people are like, oh, well, you're creative, that's why you can be successful, Russell. I'm like, I'm not creative. I just go and figure out what are the problems people are having, how do I solve those problems? That's it, that's the magic secret sauce. I showed you guys a clip from this interview with Myron in the last session, but this was one of the coolest interviews ever. So many good things that came from it. And one of the things I asked Myron about, because a lot of people who come into our world and they want to create an offer and they don't even have a product to sell. And I asked him, how does this start? What's the first thing people should be thinking about if they want to create an offer that's going to change the world, it's going to make them a bunch of money and change the lives of the customers they've been called to serve? And this is what Myron said during the interview.
Initially, people understand the first thing is for you to be successful, you actually have to have something to sell, right? People all the time I'm on the internet trying to make money. I'm like, what do you sell? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm trying to make money on the internet. How do you start?
Yeah. So
phase number 1.
It's, believe it or not, it doesn't even start, in my opinion, it doesn't really even start with having something to sell. It starts with the ability to solve somebody else's problem. I can solve a $1 problem for 1 million people and make $1 million bucks, or I can solve a $10 problem for 100,000 people, or I can solve a $1,000 problem for 1,000 people, or I can solve a $10,000 problem for 100 people, or I can solve $100,000 problem for 10 people. And so when you're first starting out, it's hard for you to believe, maybe it wasn't hard for you, but it was hard for me to believe that there was somebody out there who'd be willing to pay me $10,000 for something, or $100,000 or $3,000 for that matter. I remember when I did my first premium value offer, I made the price in my mind so high, I knew nobody would ever pay me for this solution. But I said, if I don't make the offer I don't make is the offer they can't take. So I put the price tag on it, $3,000. Exactly. And I didn't care if they didn't buy it. I was doing it for the reps more than for the revenue. And 2 people bought it. Like, wait. And there were only maybe 10 or 15 people in the room. 2 people bought my $3,000 thing. Like, what just happened? Oh, the price was too low. The next time I offered it, I made it $4,000. 7 people bought it. So back up to answer your question. I think that the first thing we have to do is we have to find a big pool of people that all have the same problem, right? Whatever that problem is. It's either going to be a financial problem, a relationship problem, a health problem, but it's a business problem, some kind of problem, a technology problem, a software problem, a leadership problem, a delegation problem, an automation problem. But there are all kinds of problems in the world. And there are all kinds of people who have problems. And the bigger the pool of people is, and the deeper their pockets are, the more I can charge for the solution. And the reason I can charge more for the solution, if their pockets are deep, is because people with deep pockets have problems that cost them more money if they don't solve them.
Oh, how many of you guys love that? Myron dropping gold. That's why his name's Myron Golden, right? He's always dropping gold. The offer you don't make is the offer they can't take. Like, so good. One of my favorite things about this is Myron's talking about, like, if you know what the end goal is, you got to reverse engineer the goal, right? So come over here for all you guys. Like, if you know your goal is, I want to win a 2 Comma Club award, right? It's like, well, how do we, instead of just going and starting a business and hoping for the best and putting offers out that we hope work, like, let's reverse engineer and figure out, wait, what does it look like to actually win an award like this, right? That'd be the question. And so the first thing that I do when I'm figuring that out, like trying to think through that, is number one is, okay, here is your customer, right? We have our customer. And the question is, like, what is the problem that you can solve for the customer, right? So we have problem. They have a problem. That's step number one that we're trying to figure out, okay? And so there's different levels of problem, like Myron said, right? So if you come back here and you want to reverse engineer the goal, like there are $10 problems you could solve some. How many of you guys have, like, you can solve a $10 problem for somebody? Right? Not too difficult. Like someone gives you $10 to solve a problem. Like my son right now works at a restaurant and he gets paid, I don't know, like $15 an hour. So he's solving $15 problems, right? Which is like, he works at Costa Vida and he rolls burritos, he hands it to people. Like he's solving a $15 problem, right? But to make $1 million on a $10 problem, you gotta sell 100,000. Like that seems very overwhelming and like a lot of work, right? So the second one is like, okay, well, what can you solve a $100 problem? If you can solve a $100 problem, you only gotta sell 10,000 to get your $1 million, right? Or if you can solve a $1,000 problem, you only gotta sell 1,000 people to get your 2 Comma Club award, right? Or if you have a $10,000 problem, you got 100 people. If you have a $100,000 problem, you got 10 people. And if you've got a $1 million problem you can solve, you only have to get one person to get your 2 Comma Club award. Now, I don't want to spoil a surprise for you, but during this session, I'm going to show you guys a $1 million offer I put out there, and then I'll show you how I did it here in a little bit. It's kind of exciting, but I don't want to ruin the surprise, so we're gonna not go there too deep yet, okay? So first question then is, okay, what is the problem we can solve? And we want to solve a problem that's going to be something we can actually make some really good money from, right? And so what I do is like, like the problem I want to solve, again, I don't want to solve a $10 problem. I want to solve a problem that's what I call a level 10 opportunity, right? So level 10 opportunity. Now, ideally for you guys, like the price points that I think for most of you guys that we should be focusing on are kind of these two here in the middle. If I pull this up again real quick, is like what's a $1,000 problem you can solve for 1,000 people, or what's a $10,000 problem you can solve for 10,000 or for 100 people, right? So level 10 opportunity, and we're looking at like, what is the problem we can solve for $1,000, or the problem we can solve that's worth to the end client $10,000, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna jump into the third paradigm I wanna give you guys, which is a level 10 opportunity creates a level 10 offer, okay? So what is your level 10 opportunity, okay? One of the biggest problems people have is they start this business and they go out there and they're selling, $27 books or courses. It's like, it's not a level 10 opportunity. You have so much work to do. You gotta figure out how do you solve bigger problems for people, okay? And so you do that by focusing on level 10 opportunity. Okay, so the first time I heard this concept of a level 10 opportunity, I was actually in Kenya. We do charity work. We go to Kenya every year and we build these schools, and it's one of the coolest things in the world. And I was there on this trip to Kenya, and I was actually in a Jeep, and we were on this long safari. It's like a 4-hour long safari. And me and this guy named Bill Harrison were sitting there talking about business and marketing, everything. And I know that we spent literally over 4 hours talking because my wife got so annoyed in the middle that we pulled over the Jeep. She jumped out and went with some other people. And it was just me and Bill in this Jeep talking marketing and business. And Bill is one of the greatest marketing minds I've ever met in my life. But he's not the face of it. Most people don't know who he is. In fact, I was looking through all my pictures from Kenya, and the only picture I found of Bill was this one right here. And if you look, like, that's him right there in the back. He's behind the scenes. And he's, one of the greatest marketing minds that I know. And we're sitting here in this Jeep for 2 or 3 hours at a time. We're talking about all bunch of stuff. And then I remember he sat back and he told me something really interesting. He said, Russell, he's like, I have friends who have sold their companies for over $1 billion. And he's like, it drives me crazy. He's like, because they have like a level 2 skill set, right? But they're in a level 10 opportunity. So they're able to make tons of money. He's like, I feel like I am, like, he's like, I've studied, I understand, like I've executed, like, he's like, I feel like I have a level 10 skill set, but I'm stuck with the level 2 opportunity. So no matter how hard I try, I always hit the ceiling, right? And us entrepreneurs, we hate ceilings, right? We talked about it a couple of times today already. We hate ceilings. And he's like, I always feel like that. And he looked at me and said, Russell, I feel like you have a level 10 skill set, but you're stuck in a level 2 opportunity. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? Right? If you come back over here, it means I'm in level 2 opportunities. So like I'm selling the $10 thing or the $100 thing that I sell tons of them to actually have success, right? What's the vehicle I can put myself into that's an actual level 10 opportunity, okay? And so the thought kept coming to my head, like on that trip, I was like, what is my level 10 opportunity? What's my level 10 opportunity? In fact, I remember going back home and meeting with Todd Dickerson, who's my co-founder of ClickFunnels. I told him this whole story from me and Bill. And we're like, he's right. Like we have this level 10 skill set. We have level 2 opportunity. What's our opportunity? We kept thinking, like, what is our opportunity? Okay. And I remember I actually had a chance when Alex Hormozy first started his business. He was in my inner circle, and he was coming in this exact same room right here. And I had a conversation with him about this same concept of a level 10 opportunity. And this is a clip from a podcast that I found on YouTube of him explaining what a level 10 opportunity is. I thought it'd be really cool to show you guys. So check out this video real quick from Alex Hormozy talking about a level 10 opportunity.
It's at this hangout or this mastermind or this meeting where you realize I'm in the wrong business. I shouldn't be running gyms. I should be teaching other people how to run their gyms, right? How did you even end up at that thing?
It was like Russell's idea, right? Or at least I saw the video. It was a wonderful story.
So the long story compressed was 2 years before I went to that mastermind, I went to Traffic and Conversion Summit because I knew I needed to like learn more about marketing. And like I'm a gym owner, like I'm not an internet marketer. I was like, this is not my world. You know what I mean? I was like, I got to learn more about marketing. So I'm going to go to this marketing event. So I go there, and one of the side rooms was Russell, and he goes and pitches ClickFunnels. But he couldn't actually do the stack because they weren't allowed to sell. So he did his entire sales presentation and then literally just stopped before the buy button. And I was like, I want whatever. I was like, screw the gyms. I want to learn how to do this stuff. And then, like most things, because I couldn't buy, there was nothing that I did. And I went back to my life for 2 years, and that was it. And then when I was having some sort of existential crisis, because I was now 26 or 27 at the time, all the gyms were, they were making money. And I remember like texting one of my managers, and I was like, hey, do you need anything? And he was like, I think we're good. I need some ink, and I like ordered on Amazon, sent him ink, and then I was done for the day. And I was like,
trying to be useful.
Right, I needed to be useful. So I Googled, I was like, that Russell thing was really cool. So out of the blue, I Google his name, and the first link that comes up is, are you one of my dream clients or something, which was directly to his mastermind. So I applied to the mastermind. I got sold into the mastermind, and transparently, I should never have been sold into this mastermind. It's for internet marketers. And I was the only.
And it's like 30 grand, right?
And I was the only brick and mortar business owner there. And they're like, oh yeah, tons of gym owners are here. And I've already told him, we laugh about it now, but like, anyways, I show up and I'm like, all right, all the guys show their funnels and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I own a bunch of gyms. I'm trying to get to 10. I've got 6. So that's I'm just here to learn,
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I walked through my acquisition process because we were getting 30 to 1 on the front end. So 30 to 1 LTV to CAC ratio in the first 30 days, right? Not including my recurring on the back end. And I walked through every.
Which basically means you're making 30x what you were spending.
You spend
to get a customer.
$1 on ads, you get $30 out
on cash
in the first month.
Yeah. So when you do these launches,
which is like a good for a lot of brands, like 1 to 3 over a year would be all right.
It was insane. I mean, so it would cost us $3 to get a lead, and 1 out of 5 leads would give us $500. And the reason that it wasn't more than 30 to 1 is that that's me giving the average with the sales guys. But like when we ran it and I was selling and we were working leads, like we could get 100 to 1. It was insane. So anyways, he saw these numbers and was like, what is going on? And so anyways, I walked through it, and he said the sentence that changed my life, which was, Alex, you shouldn't be running gyms. You should be showing gym owners exactly what you showed me. And right now you're in a level 2 opportunity with a level 10 skill set. And those were the exact words that he said to me. And it honestly hit me like a ton of bricks because I was like, this is my vision. United Fitness, we're going to be America's next gym. We're going to make America healthy. Like, we've got this. And, but you know, he made more money than me. And so I was like, if I don't listen to someone's advice, then why am I paying for it?
All right, so that's a level 10 opportunity. You guys get this? Now, if you look at what happened to Alex after that, he went from right here, he was working a level 10 skill set with a level 2 opportunity, running gyms, managing gyms, trying to open gyms, right? We showed him like, hey, you're selling $10 offers, right? Like that's kind of the equivalent. I mean, a gym membership is what, $100 a month? $100. So it's like you'd have to sell 10,000 to get your 2 column club. Like he's not in a level 10 opportunity, he's a level 2 opportunity with level 10 skill set, right? So come back here and he's able to transition it away from a level 2 opportunity, move it to a level 10 opportunity, and boom, he built gym launched that, and did really, really well. As you can see, he won a 2 Common Club Award, 2 Common Club X, 2 Common Club C, and he was the very first person ever to win the 2 Hard Award, which is kind of crazy, right? And then from there, he took that level 10 opportunity and he sold it, and then he launched a new level 10 opportunity for him that's even bigger than this. And you know, if you've seen Hormozy online right now, he's been blowing up like crazy, okay? For me, it was the exact same thing, right? When I heard Bill tell me this, like, you need to create a level 10 opportunity, what is it? I was looking at myself at the time. I had launched more funnels than any human on this planet. In fact, I looked back and did the math before we launched ClickFunnels. I launched over 150 funnels. And this was not like, I had an idea for a funnel and I bought 150 domain names. I said, no, 150 completely funnels launched, which means logo, website, copy, upsells, downsells, product launched to the universe. 150 that went live. Okay, probably 300 or 400 that were some other versions of almost done, right? But all of them were like, I was taking my level 10 skill set, applying to these level 2 opportunities. Right? Some would make this, some would have a lot of money, some a little bit, but it was never like this huge thing until I thought, okay, how do I take what I know? How do I take this knowledge, information, right? And from there, we launched level 10 opportunity, which boom, became ClickFunnels. As you know, if you looked in our ecosystem, our world, right, it's blown up and it's done, again, in the first decade, we've done over $1 billion in sales. Our clients have processed over $10 billion in sales and growing rapidly. And it's just one of the coolest things in the world. And it was for me transition, not working harder, smarter, it's just transitioning from a level 2 opportunity to a level 10 opportunity. Okay? So the question for you guys, what is the opportunity that you're operating in? Okay? You got to create a level 10 opportunity. Because if you don't, it's way more work for the exact same amount of money, right? If you have the right vehicle that you're working in, you can make way more money with the same effort. Does that make sense, you guys? Cool. This is one of my favorite stories. Have you guys ever heard the story about Sam Brandon? So here's Sam's story, okay? Sam lived in San Francisco during the gold rush, right? And the gold rush, everyone had gold fever. They were trying to pan for gold, all sorts of stuff. And Sam was a very smart entrepreneur. He thought, all these people are panning for gold. He's like, I think the real business is in selling the picks and the shovels. So he went to all the stores in San Francisco. He bought all the picks and the shovels, everything. He took them back to his store where he was the only person that had it. Then he went and got some gold dust. He started walking around the street yelling, there's gold in the American River, there's gold in the American River. And all the people started freaking out. They're running all over the place. And they went to Sam's store because he's the only one that had the axe, the picks, the shovels. He went to the store. He then sold them the picks and shovels. They went out there to dig for gold. And Sam Brandon became the first millionaire in San Francisco's history. Okay? How did he make the money? Was it opening gyms? No, right? It was teaching people how to open gyms, right? He was selling the picks and the shovels for those who were doing it, right? Level 2 opportunity is usually doing the thing. Level 10 opportunity is information, is teaching people how to do the thing. We did a challenge a little while ago called the Think and Grow Rich Challenge, right? Everyone's like, how do you think and grow rich? How do you think and grow rich? It comes back to, again, Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, right? How do you actually think and grow rich? And when I came down to the premise of the entire challenge video, it was like, the way you think and grow rich, you take the information from your brain, your thinking, and you sell it as a course, right? Information, that is the big secret. That's the big aha. That's your level 10 opportunity, okay? So Think and Grow Rich, what we're teaching people to do is how to go and create a course. In fact, at the end, we taught a whole course called Course Secrets, teach people how to make their own courses, right? How to take the information from your brain and turn it into a product or service you can sell. That is the big secret, okay? All right, paradigm shift number 4. The big opportunity is providing your map or your framework from the problem to the result, okay? I told you guys earlier, your clients have problems. We're figuring out level 10 opportunity. What's the right thing for us to sell to them? It's going to make the most amount of money, have the biggest impact for them, right? And then the question is, what they're looking for is the big result, okay? I always like drawing this way. In my head, this is what it looks like, so hopefully it makes sense for you guys as I draw it out as well. So again, here's your dream customer, right? And they have this problem they're trying to solve. They want to get a result. So over here, here's a platform. There's a big a flag up there, and they have a result that they want. Okay. Now, what happens for most customers, like when they come into your world, the first time they come to you, like a lot of people think like, oh, I got this new customer. I'm gonna explain to him how this new thing that I figured out. You have to understand when someone comes into your world, like this result they've wanted for a long time. you're typically not the first person that gave them the idea, right? They're here and they want to learn how to lose weight or how to make money. And they've tried a lot of different paths to get this result, right? So what happens is they're down here, they've got this problem, like, I'm overweight, I want to learn how to lose weight. And so they go on this journey. I'll do the journey red. So they go on this journey, they're going and they're having some fun and trying to succeed, and then they mess up and boom, it fails, right? Like, the diet didn't work. They go to the next one, they try for a little bit, and they come over here, and then boom, they fail again. And try again, and they fail again. And they keep trying this thing over and over and over again. In fact, Caitlin Poland, who was the owner of Lady Boss, she told me that the average woman in America goes on 8 diets a year, okay? So this is not something like they come and we're like, I never thought about losing weight. They've already been thinking about it. If you're trying to teach people how to make money, they've thought about making money before. Like, it's not something you just explain it to them, like, they've tried a whole bunch of different things, right? Thing after thing after thing. And for some reason, they have not had success yet, okay? Now, for you, as you're thinking, like, what is the thing you're actually selling? The thing you are actually selling is your journey. So come back here. This is you. Right? You had the problem. You wanted this result as well. And you started going on this journey. And again, you tried thing after thing, but eventually you went all the way through and you made it all the way up here, boom, and you got the result. Right? You figured out how to solve this problem. So this problem is no longer a problem for you anymore. You have the result. You figured out, you made money, you lost the weight, you traded the stocks, you insert whatever the result is that you were looking for inside your business, right? You solved that thing, you got the result. And then what you got was the most valuable thing on the entire planet, worth more money than gold. Do you know what it is you got? The thing that you got is you now have a map. You have a map that takes you from this problem all the way through all the pitfalls, the hurdles and everything, all the way up to the actual result. And this is your level 10 opportunity. This is the thing you are selling, this map that you discovered about how to have success, okay? That's the big secret. That's the big aha. If I look at all my businesses, everything I've done, it's like, okay, I wanted to make money on the internet. I tried to sell stuff on eBay. I tried Craigslist. I tried doing websites. I tried everything. And eventually I figured out my potato gun and I had a funnel and went through and boom, I got the result. And that's how I had success, right? Now I'm taking this map and say, okay, let me show you what I just did. Let me show you how to go from the problem you have right now to the result, okay? And the way I'm gonna do it is, I'm running out of colors here. What other colors should I do? I'll come back to, we'll make it blue, okay? All right, so step number 1 in the process is you're gonna do this. Then step number 2, you're gonna do this. Then step number 3, you're gonna do this. Step number 4 is this. Step number 5 is this, right? So I have all these steps in the process to go from problem to result, right? That's my map. Now, another name for a map that we use a lot of times in our community is called a framework. Okay, that's a framework. Well, a framework is like, okay, you have this problem, here's step number 1, this is what you do. Here's step number 2, what you do. Here's step number 3, and like this framework is the map, it's the guidance, so it gets somebody the result that they're coming to you for, okay? So think about it. Think about all the different people you've ever bought stuff from. Think about this event, for example. What is this event? You had a result you wanted. You had a problem, you're not making enough money. What's the result? I promise you, I'm gonna teach you the one-to-many selling secrets to help you guys to grow and scale your companies. That's the result. Now you're here right now, what am I doing? I'm giving you the map, right? Step number 1 was what? Subconscious selling. Step number 2, offer secrets. Step number 3, subconscious selling. And like this, I'm giving you guys my map on how I learned how to sell insane amounts of money doing one-to-many presentations. That's why you're here. You are right now inside of my framework of me teaching you the map, okay? All right, so the first step now, after you understand that what you're actually selling is the map, is we have to take that map or that framework for their success, and then you give it a proprietary name. That's one big piece, right? A lot of times, like, here's my, I have a map that's gonna teach you how to lose weight. Like, that's not proprietary. Instead, I would be like, here is the prime mover secrets to outstanding weight loss and whatever. I'd come up with a cool name. Like, if you look at all the frameworks I create, I always have a name. The perfect webinar, hook story offer, one-to-many selling framework. Like, I always have a name that makes the framework proprietary to me. Okay, so the first step is I create a framework for their success. It's just a step-by-step process, and then I give it a proprietary name. That's step number 1. Okay, now I'm gonna show you this really quick video clip. I actually filmed this. It was during the whole like pandemic that happened a little while ago, right? And how many of you guys have ever been to it? By the way, how many of you guys have ever been to Tony Robbins, like UPW, Unleash the Power Within? You go and you walk on fire. It's insane. If you have to type in UPW, actually type in Firewalker. You Firewalkers, don't type in Firewalker in the comments. Okay, all the Firewalkers, okay. What's up, Firewalkers? You guys have been to Tony Robbins. You walked on fire with him, which is exciting. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you guys the secret to Tony Robbins. I'm gonna teach you what he's actually doing when he's on stage teaching you guys. For me, the very first time I went, I thought he was magic. And now I understand how frameworks work, and it actually becomes very simple and very, not easy, but it becomes very simple to understand what he's doing. So this is the video I recorded. It was during the pandemic. I was doing a training here on the stage. The stage looked a little different back then, but I was doing a training on the stage, and I pulled out my UPW workbook, and I shared with the group something that gave them the big aha, and I want to give you the same aha as well. So let's watch this clip. It's about a minute long, teaching you guys what Tony Robbins is doing with his frameworks. 12 years ago was the first time I had a chance to go to Tony Robbins' event. How many of you guys have been to Tony Robbins' event? I went to UPW. It's an event where you get to walk on fire, and it was like all this craziness, right? And I remember going and seeing Tony on stage for 50 hours. And I was like, how does he do that? He's just thing after thing after thing, and like no notes, no slides. He's just teaching, right? I remember thinking he was like a magician who just like was the smartest man in the world. And he's a genius. He's one of my, he's a friend now, and he's just someone who's amazing. But I remember watching him. I was like, that's so cool how he did it. Then fast forward a couple months ago, my wife and I did a virtual version of UPW, and we had our kids come. In fact, we sat in this room and we watched it, which was really cool. And it was interesting because they got the workbook, and as he started teaching, I realized that the title of the event, Unleash the Power Within, that is his core result. I'm going to teach you guys how to unleash the power within, right? Like that is where the impossible becomes possible. Like that's what his big result is. Okay? And so that was what he was leading with. That's the big result. Is you're going to unleash power within where the impossible becomes the possible. So we sat down with the kids, we started going through the training, and as Tony got up to teach, I noticed he started talking, and the first thing he did is he started teaching one of his frameworks, right? It was one of these core frameworks. And I was taking notes, but I remember on the homepage, my first page in my notebook, I said, hey, that's a framework. Interesting. So I wrote down just the name of the framework. The name of the framework was the 3 levels of mastery. I said, cool. He just taught through a framework, right? So Tony's like, okay, I'm going to pull 3 levels of mastery. Pulled it out. Boom. He's like, I got an hour to teach this session. Boom. He's like, I'm going to teach it. So we went through. He said, okay, let me first tell you the story about how I learned or I earned it. Let me teach you the strategy. I'm going to walk you through the tactics. I'm going to show you a case study of it. And he taught that for like an hour. Then he shifts to the next framework. He said, okay, now I'm going to teach you my 3 mandates of leadership. And I was like, that's another framework. I wrote it down. Right? And they went through. He said, okay, here's the hour-long version of that. He sat down and he started teaching it. Boom. 3 mandates of leadership. Here's step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. How would I learn and I earned it? Strategy. And he went through the whole thing. Then he got the next thing, success cycles. That was his next framework. Then another framework. And that day, these are all the frameworks he shared on day number 1 to get people this result, right? So it was the 3 levels of mastery, 3 mandates of leadership, the success cycle, the 3 decisions that change your life, the 3 patterns of focus and meaning, the 2 primary fears, the 3 ways to grow a business, the 2 master skills, the 3 forces of creation, the 3 chunks of practical psychology, the 3 things that cause suffering, the triad, the 3 molders of meaning, the 6 human needs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 frameworks he taught on day number 1 of his live event. And then day number 2, the same thing. And day number 3, day number 4. Okay, and that's how Tony's able to get there and speak, because he knows his framework. All right, so frameworks, that's the key, you guys. Understand how this works? So you are creating frameworks, right? What's the step-by-step process to get the result? All right. Now, what's cool when you create a framework, there's usually different versions, right? You create a framework and there could be a 3-minute version, there could be a 30-minute version, there could be a 3-hour version or a 3-day version, right? In fact, it's interesting. If you look at my book, any of my books, they're all filled with all my frameworks, right? But I could go and let's say I pulled the .com Secrets book out and I flip it open to like one of the chapters. Inside the chapter there's a framework, right? So again, it can be an entire chapter, but I could grab my phone out of my pocket and I can go and do a reel for Instagram or TikTok that's 60 seconds long of me teaching the framework. Step number 1, like, how to lose weight. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, and I could do that in 60 seconds, right? Or I could do Facebook Live and be like, hey, what's up, Facebook? How's it going? I'm gonna teach you guys a framework. I spend 10 minutes teaching. All right, step number 1, step number 2. I could teach, add more details. I go for 10 minutes. Or I could go do a 90-minute webinar. Or I could do a 3-hour event. Or I could do a full day event. Or I could do a 3-day event. And all I'm doing is I'm taking the framework and I'm extending how much time. I can spend an hour on each one of the things. Or I can spend a day on each one of the things, right? And so when you create a framework, it's cool because you can expand and compress and expand and compress. And so you can take the same concept and you can grow or you can shrink depending on the time that you have. Okay? So we have to become really, really good at creating frameworks. In fact, if I can find my clicker, here we are. I want to show you guys a really cool example. So this is Tom Bilyeu, one of my favorite people on this planet. So smart. If you don't follow him, you should follow him and read everything. But the other day I went to his Instagram and I started looking around. As I scrolled through, he had tons of like these really quick frameworks that he was testing out, right? So I grabbed some screenshots. Here's one of them. This is the framework. Like the result was how to increase your sleep habits, right? And then he had steps. Step number 1, stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Step number 2, use blue blockers 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. Step number 3, go to bed early. Step number 4, set your intention for what you want to do when you wake up. Do not set an alarm. Step number 5, use white noise. Step number 6, use a device like an Oura Ring to track your sleep. Okay, 6-step process. Okay, now he wrote that out, right? It's just the 6 steps. Boom, 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 boom. He wrote those things out, posted online, and that was like the image version, right? Now, if people responded to it, in fact, on this right here, there was 22,000 people responded. So he's probably like, wow, that could be really good. I'm going to do an hour-long podcast teaching my sleep habits because people actually cared, right? Or I could do a 3-day event teaching sleep habits. Or I could do you take that framework and you expand it or compress it. Okay, but he's just testing a framework. Then the next day he tested another one. This one was 7 lessons I learned from watching The Matrix. So he watched this movie. What is the result he got from it? Boom, broke it into a framework, right? Step number one, you can't do it until you believe it. Number two, the world you perceive. Anyway, there's the framework for 7 lessons learned from Matrix. Next right here, 4 hacks to survive Thanksgiving dinner. Step number 1, 2, 3, 4, just frameworks, okay? So that is how simple it is to actually create a framework, okay? And my guess is most of you guys create frameworks about anything. Can you create a framework about how to tie your shoe right now? You probably could, right? Because you have a framework about how to lose weight, how to get up in the morning, how to have more stress, less stress, more happiness. Like, I'm sure all of you guys have frameworks that you already use every single day that somebody else would be willing to pay you for if you understand that, okay? So the secret is frameworks. In fact, how many of you guys have a framework for creating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Okay, I'm gonna do an experiment with you guys right now. I'm gonna show you guys a video from Studio C. If you know what Studio C is, it's like Saturday Night Live, but clean, and your kids will love it. And so this is one of my favorite episodes about them making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And you're gonna see different people have different frameworks for the same end result, right? The end result they had is how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The frameworks are all different. Now, as you're watching this, I want you to start thinking through what is your framework for creating a PB&J, because afterwards I'm gonna have you guys post it. But for right now, sit back and relax and just watch Studio C teach you guys how to make the perfect PB. That's how you make a PB&J, right? Or is it not? Or how do you guys do it? Do you do it differently? I guarantee every single one of you guys has your own formula or your own framework for how you make a PB&J. So I'm curious, what is it? I want all you guys to go and actually type it in the comments. What is your step-by-step framework? So if, for example, as you guys are typing these out, I'll do one for myself. Now, if I was to go do a PB&J and I needed a framework, okay, here's the problem. I am hungry and I want a PB&J. There's the problem. Here's the result. I want to have an amazing sandwich, right? And I have a framework. Step 1, so step number 1 for my B and J would be, I got to go to the store and get some bread, right? So step number 1 is bread. Now, I like potato bread because it's amazing. If you're going to have carbs, you might as well have potato breads. Yes, I'm from Idaho. We love potatoes. It's a weird thing, right? But step number 1, you have to have potato bread. Step number 2, after you get that, I'm not a toaster, definitely not, but I like having the bread. So you get 2 slices of bread, right? And so on and so forth. And so I'd have my framework. So what is your guys' framework for how you make a PB&J? Okay, they're already coming in. So we got PB&J, fine, thick, white bread. Use Smucker's PB&J jelly. Number 2, step number, okay, they're coming fast. Add chunky peanut butter on both sides of the bread. Step number 4, healthy lather, strawberry jelly jam. Step number 5, wrap the sandwiches in, oh man. All right, all the frameworks are popping in. Okay, all of you guys have your own framework. Keep tapping them in. I want to see as many as possible. What is your PB&J frameworks? Everyone's got one. You see how simple this is, you guys? This is how we make frameworks. There's a beginning and an end, a step-by-step process for you to actually get the result. That's how it works, okay? I need you guys to start getting better and better at doing this because this is how this whole world functions, is by making frameworks, understanding that, okay? So anytime you know the problem is, you know the result's going to be, the framework is just you walking somebody through the step-by-step process to do it. Again, you can do a framework tying your shoe, for making a PB&J sandwich, or how to make money, how to invest in the stock markets, how to lose weight, how to find a relationship, how to insert the thing that you do, that you've been called to do. Okay, that's the key. Now, some of you guys, I already hear it in the messages. Every time I share this, I hear this. People are like, but Russell, I'm not like you. I don't sell information products. Okay, I have a question for you guys. Anyone here know what I actually do? Yes, I do sell information products, but what I actually do is I sell software. I'm a software company. There's the big aha, okay? Wait, Russell, but there's info. Yes, so I do, the way you make the most money is I sell software wrapped in information products, okay? I have my software and I wrap it around, okay? Software is just a step in the process of them actually hitting the result and being successful, okay? Maybe you sell protein powder. That's a step in someone losing weight, but it's not how someone loses weight, right? It's just a step in it, okay? So I sell software wrapped in info products. You sell whatever you sell wrapped in info products as well, right? Now, it's wrapped in info products that get somebody a certain result. For me, it's to win someone a 2 Comma Club award. For you, it could be help them lose weight, make more money, find a relationship, find a spouse, whatever it might be, right? And then I have a framework, a step-by-step framework that gets them that end result, okay? I create that framework for the success. And again, the framework is teaching people how to grow through online through funnel. That's the end result they're getting, okay? So that's the framework. And inside there, one of the steps is the actual software, the thing I have inside. Okay? And so your framework, for most of you guys, what your framework's gonna be is some kind of training program, some kind of thing helping them to get the end result they're looking for, okay? A lot of times it's gonna be some kind of course, right? So that's the thing, you have to learn how to make these courses. Now, the very first time I ever created a course, some of you guys have heard my story before, was a DVD teaching people how to make a potato gun, okay? So what was it? The end result people wanted is they wanted a potato gun. There was the problem. I don't have something that shoots potatoes in the world. This is the big problem. And again, this is not a level 10 opportunity. This is a little tiny opportunity, right? But the problem was people didn't have something to shoot potatoes through the world. That's the big problem. And the result was they're gonna build a potato gun. So what was the step-by-step framework? Step number 1, you gotta pick the pipes. Number 2 is how you cut the pipes, how you glue them together, what's the right PSI, what's the barrel to chamber volume, like all that kind of stuff, right? And so for me, this was the very first course I ever put together called How to Make a Potato Gun. This is me and my buddy Nate actually recording the whole thing. What's funny about this is again, at the time, we had nothing. This is before even probably my very first speaking gig that you guys saw. I was trying to figure out how in the world to sell something online, right? And so what we did is we borrowed a video camera from somebody. We went to Home Depot and we filmed us like going and buying pipes, and then went back to this shop that my wife used to work at, and we started videotaping us cutting them together and gluing them together. And then I remember we went down to the university, and because like there was a session where we had to teach like the step-by-step, like what's the barrel, the chamber volume, all sorts of stuff like that. So we snuck in on a Saturday to the university, and we went to a big, huge classroom. The classroom had this huge whiteboard that wrapped the whole entire classroom. So what I did is I came up there, and on the side, I wrote down all the things I needed to talk about in the video that you can see right here on the side. And then I angled the camera so you could see right over here, but you couldn't see my notes. And then what I would do is I would write on the board, and I could see them right there, but I was like acting like I was a genius. Like, okay, this is the barrel, the chamber volume, pi r squared time, and like tried to act like a genius. And that's how we created this very first course. You guys want to see an actual footage from the How to Make a Potato Gun DVD? I show this because people in the past thought this was folklore. Like, this is not a real thing. You didn't really make potato gun, Russell. This is just you trying to make up a story. I'm like, no, this is legitimately the best idea I had at the time. So let me show you guys a quick video clip from my very first product ever, how to make a potato gun.
These are two numbers for the chamber versus the barrel. When you do the math for here, you do 125.6 divided by 83 equals about 1.5, a couple decimal points here. That's the maximum volume to shoot your potato furthest.
And it shoots pretty far.
First thing we have here is our ammunition. And one thing that's important is that these need to be potatoes that are made in Idaho. Idaho potatoes actually travel further.
Anyway, so that's how much fun it can be, right? You're just teaching the framework of how you get the result for the thing you're doing, right? Obviously, ideally for a level 10 opportunity. All right, so next paradigm shift to give you guys. We've gone through a lot of stuff right now so far, right? We talked about figuring out like, what is the problem someone's solving, right? What's the level 10 opportunity? From there, it's like, how do I create a framework or a map to help them to solve the problem that they have, right? Now we have a product. So the next paradigm shift is, how do we turn our framework or our product into something that's gonna make us a lot more money? It's called an offer. Okay, how many of you are excited about learning exactly how to structure your offer? If you are, type in offer in the comments below. Offer, offer, offer. I want to see all the offers, okay? The offer is the big secret. You guys understand how to master this. It's going to change everything for you. But I didn't want to just share this, like my philosophy to you guys. I wanted to bring our friend back from earlier, who you guys met in the last session, McCall Jones, because as we were talking through offers and brainstorming stuff, she brought this idea that was one of the coolest things in the world. I was like, McCall, can you please share this? This will make creating an offer so simple for anybody, right? If you take your framework, you take the core course thing you're selling, and then you apply what McCall is about to teach you guys, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to change everything. So with that said, let's put our hands together for McCall Jones. Welcome back.
Idaho potatoes, they shoot farther. It's incredible. Okay, my friends, I am so excited to be back with you today. So we are going to talk product versus offer. Really fast in the chat, I want you guys to just tell me, do you already know the difference between a product and an offer? If so, I just want you to write yes in the chat. Yeah, if you have a kind of a good idea of the difference between a product and an offer, because we're gonna go over the basics, and I think this is gonna help make it a lot more clear. Yeah, so first let's talk about what a product is. So a product is a single item that is available for purchase, right? So you go to Amazon, you type in something like protein powder, it pops up, you got a product, right? That is product. If you see that, I want you to just write product in the chat. Yeah, product in the chat. I love it. Now, an offer is several items stacked together to increase the likelihood that your customer actually succeeds. Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. So let's say your goal is to lose weight, right? The top flag on the hill that Russell showed you earlier. Yeah, the big goal, you wanna lose weight. Now, which one of these things do you think you would be more likely to succeed with? First, a product, you're like, oh, protein powder. Or if you took that protein powder and all of a sudden you put things with it, right? Like maybe a recipe book, maybe workouts, right? Maybe a community that keeps you motivated. Which one would be more likely to succeed, right? Which one would you buy if you actually wanted to achieve your goal? I want you to tell me in the chat. Yeah, which one? It's pretty obvious, right? Especially because there's a big red circle around it, right? It's the second one. Yeah, it's the offer. Now, I'm going to give you a different example. This is in real estate, because you can literally do this with anything. Yeah, so the product in real estate, the single item available for purchase would be something like, I'm going to sell your house. Yeah, single item available for purchase. Yeah, now, the way that we would turn that into an offer is what if we said, okay, now, not only am I going to sell your house, But I'm also going to add staging. I'm also going to add maybe a move out checklist, maybe a curbside appeal increaser, right? A move out van, maybe paint touch ups, maybe a move out clean, right? Now, let's go back to the goal, right? Because remember, this is to increase the likelihood of success for your customer, right? So we go back to the goal and we say, okay, if the goal is to sell your house in a short amount of time for the highest amount of money, which one would make you more likely to succeed? The product or the offer, right? You can tell me in the chat, which one has the giant red circle around it, right? You write offer in the chat. Oh my gosh, you guys are crushing it. Okay, so now to create an offer, now if we understand the difference at least a little bit, I just want you to write yes in the chat. Yeah, are you with me? Yes? Okay, amazing. Now, to create an offer, you want to take a product and then you want to add things to it like maybe tools, maybe resources, training, a community, right? You want to add these things to make the product easier to use and more valuable, right? The entire goal of creating an offer is to increase the likelihood of your customer success. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, how do I know what to add to my offer, right? The possibilities are infinite. Yeah, if maybe you're feeling that a little bit, I want you to write in the chat. Yeah, we got a couple of them. So let me calm your fears. I would like to introduce you to literary masterpiece and my very favorite book growing up, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. Have you guys ever heard of this book? Yeah, if so, I want you to write yes in the chat. Yeah, some of you have, some of you know, about to blow your mind. Now, here's the story of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. Pay attention. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's gonna ask for some milk. And then when you give him the milk, he's probably gonna ask you for a straw. And then when he's finished, he'll probably ask you for a napkin, and so on and so on. Now, when it comes to an offer, if you give a mouse protein powder, in order for that mouse to be successful, now he's also gonna need a recipe book, right? So that he knows how to cook the rest of his meals very healthily. And now, once the mouse knows what to do with his food, in order to be successful, he's gonna need a workout plan. And once he has a workout plan, maybe he needs a community to now keep him motivated. Yeah, if we're understanding this, if you guys see this, I want you to write mouse in the chat. Yes, mouse. Incredible, right? All of a sudden it becomes so simple. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you one of my very favorite examples because the king of offers and who does this so brilliantly is, you guessed it, Russell, right? So here's how Russell did this in one of his challenges. This is the one funnel away challenge. Yeah, now first, remember, the entire goal of an offer is to increase the likelihood of the success of your customers. So first we have to know where they're going, right? So the big promise of the one funnel away challenge is to build and launch your first funnel. Yeah, so if we're in the mind of Russell and he's thinking about his mice, once they attend the challenge, now we think, okay, what makes it more likely for them to succeed? Or what would increase the likelihood that they actually do that they actually build and launch their first funnel, right? He thinks to himself, what does this mouse need? Maybe daily support from experts, and he adds it into the offer. Then he thinks, okay, well, once they have their funnel, now what does this mouse need to succeed? Right now, they need traffic. And now once they have traffic, what do they need to do? Oh, they need to build a list. Okay, but now, once they've learned everything, how the heck are they gonna remember it all? Oh, a workbook, right? So now, if you're seeing this, yeah, if you're seeing this, I want you to write mouse again because that's hilarious. Yes, mouse. Yes, mouse. Now, at this point, we have taken a product, right? We've taken that one funnel away challenge and we've now turned it into an offer, right? We've taken something that looks like this and turned it into something that looks like this. Yeah, if you can actually see the differences and it's starting to be more clear, I just want you to write light bulb in the chat. Light bulb, or you can write ding if that feels like it takes too long, yeah? Ding! Guys, do you see how powerful this is? Do you actually see this, right? Once we turn a product into an offer, it calms the lizard. It takes your customer's lizard from this to this, right? It calms the fearful mind of your customer. Because now what they're actually thinking is, oh my gosh, they have thought of everything. At this point, they're actually thinking, I'm gonna be so taken care of. Because once again, they've thought of everything, right? If you can see this, I just want to write yes in the chat. Yes, or write lizard, because that's funnier. Lizard, yes, you're amazing. Okay, so now, do you also see that if you give a mouse a cookie, this very specific format is also going to help your people visualize themselves moving forward. It's also going to help them visualize themselves making progress and actually not being a drifter, but being driven, right? Actually moving forward with success. Yeah, if you guys see this, I just want you to write drift, no. Say right, no drift in the chat. No drift. You're incredible. Drift, no. I love it. Now, do you see also how an offer is so much more than just like taking a bunch of crap and putting it together? Being like, what do I have in my pantry? Oh, let's take this, right? That's not how we do it. It's all about actually helping your customer succeed. Yeah, if you actually want to help your customer succeed, I want to write success in the chat. Yes, success. Incredible. Because products don't change lives. Who knows if a protein powder is going to change anybody's life? No, right? Offers change lives because offers actually drive people towards success. Yeah, so far, if you're with me, I'm gonna try. I'm with you in the chat. If you can make it high-pitched with writing, I would be so impressed with you. I'm with you. Incredible. So far, we've taken a product and we said, okay, now I know what a product turned into an offer is, right? Next, let me introduce you to what Russell's going to have you do and blow your mind with. Promise that was English. Next, he's going to help you take an offer and turn it into the most insane, valuable, irresistible offer ever. He's going to show you it's all about value and how to actually take something and make it valuable. Yes, so let's welcome back to the stage, Russell Brunson.
Let's go.
Yay!
McCall, that was amazing. Let's give it up, McCall. Huge round of applause. Let's go. So good. Isn't that amazing that if you give a mouse a cookie, think about this, right? You come back here. You go and you figure out the framework, you create a result. Like a good example for me, like when we launched ClickFunnels, prior to ClickFunnels, I created a course called Funnel Builder Secrets, right? It was my course. It is the cookie, right? Someone came in the world, I'm like, hey, here's this cookie. It's going to teach you how to build funnels. Like, this is amazing. They buy the cookie, right? And then what happens? It solved the problem. Like the problem got solved. Now I know how to build funnels. But then it introduces a new problem, which is like, well, I now know how to build funnels, but I don't have anything to build it with. I'm like, oh, well, then you're going to need ClickFunnels. So I included ClickFunnels in the offer, right? And it's like, cool. Now I got the training on the software. Now I got the ClickFunnels software. What else do I need? Oh, you're also going to need, again, McCall talked about traffic. And I start plugging all these other things until you have a complete offer. Okay? So always think about this, like the core framework you were teaching traditionally is the cookie. Right? Now, after you give them the cookie, like they took it, it solved that problem, but it introduced a new problem. Then you solve that problem, introduce a new problem, and you figure out all those things, so all the problems are solved, and then boom, that becomes the irresistible offer. Okay? All right, so next question that we want to start going into then is coming back here to, we talked about earlier, like a product versus an offer, right? And one thing I like to think about this is, a product is a commodity, right? So what's a commodity? Commodity means there's a whole bunch of people selling it, right? An offer is unique to just you. So an offer always trumps a product, okay? Because the offer is focused on the result of your end client. Now, the thing I want you to understand is there's two ways to have the cheapest product in town. Whenever I'm trying to sell something, I want it to be the cheapest thing in town, right? But what most people do, if you have a product and you're competing with a whole bunch of other people's product, what happens is like the only way to be the cheapest person in town is to decrease the cost. Right? So for example, let's say you were selling a product and you have, but there's 10 other people who are all selling the exact same product, right? Let's say they're all selling for $100, right? So how do you become the cheapest? Well, everyone's selling for 100, I'm gonna sell mine for 90. And then someone's like, well, they're 90, I'm gonna sell mine for 80. And then for 70, for 60, and they drop all the way down to the point where someone's selling for $20, there's no margin, and it ruined the entire market, right? That's what a commodity is, okay? Commodities are the worst thing in the world. When you're selling a product, you have the same thing that other people are selling, and the price gets cheap. Like protein powder is a great example, right? There's like, you go on Amazon, type in protein powder, there's 200,000 people all selling protein powder. Okay? And so the way to be the cheapest, only way is to decrease the value, right? Or sorry, to decrease the price to the point where there's no margins. And you never want to be in the business where there's no margins. Okay? My mentor, Dan Kennedy, told me something so powerful. He said that there's no strategic advantage of being the second lowest price leader in town. Okay, if you're Walmart and you're the lowest price leader in town, congratulations, like that is a strategic advantage. But if you're not the lowest, if you're the second lowest price leader in town, there is no strategic advantage. But there's a huge strategic advantage of being the most expensive. Okay? So most people do is they try to decrease the price to become cheap. What we do as funnel hackers, as prime movers, is we do not decrease the price. Instead, what we do to make our product feel inexpensive is we increase the value. Okay? So it feels inexpensive. We're not lowering the price. In fact, a lot of times we're going to increase the price. We increase the value, and so it feels inexpensive. Okay? So I'm going to show you some examples of that. But the very first one I want to do is kind of like to set the stage to understand this. Thinking about dating. So how do you increase the perceived value of you as someone who's dating? Now, it's been a long time. I've been married for, I don't know, more than 20 years. I should know off the top of my head, but between 20 and 30 years, I've married a long time, right? So back in the day when I met my wife, the very beginning, right? I am a commodity. Like there's me and there's a whole bunch of other guys who want to date her. In fact, all my roommates are trying to date her at the same time, right? So we're all kind of like this commodity, right? And so I come to the table to ask my wife on a date. I'm like, hey, Colette, do you want to go on a date? And she's looking at me, she's like, you're not that good looking. You got a shaved head, you got glasses, like, right? Like I was a commodity and I'm competing against guys who are better looking than me all day long, right? But if I'm just going with me as the product, like that's all I got. So if there's someone better looking than me or less expensive than me, right? Like they're going to win over me. So when I came to my wife, I was like, okay, I understand that I am not the best product in the world. How do I turn myself into an offer? So I called her after a date. I was like, hey, do you want to go date with me? She's like, not that good looking. You're kind of weird, right? Instead, I said, okay, here's an offer I want to create. Hey, I want to take you on a date. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ice skating. It's going to be really fun. After that, I'm going to take you to my favorite restaurant. We're going to go to Chili's. We're going to do that. After that, we're going to meet our friends over here. We're going to watch a movie. Then we're going to go on this activity. And all of a sudden, she's looking like, that's actually a good offer, right? Like Russell's a piece of the offer. He's all right, but like all those other things sound amazing, right? And I create this offer stack, and that's what I'm sending to her to ask her on a date. And she's like, yeah, that offer sounds great. I'd love to go on a date with you, right? Same thing, I wanted to marry her. It wasn't just like, hey, do you want to get married? Like, it's like, hey, if you get married to me, here's what's gonna happen. The first thing we're gonna give you this and this and this, and we create a value stack, right? And so that's like a way that you would increase you as a person in this example, okay? In an offer stack, is increasing the value, not decreasing the price, okay? A good example of this, some of you guys have heard me tell this story before, but it's a pretty powerful one. So I had a chance to speak at Garrett White's Warrior Con, and this phone, which is now smashed on the back, at the time was brand new. I just gotten this phone, and I'm speaking at Warrior Con, and he wanted me to talk about offers with people. And I was like, I want to show you guys something really cool. I'm like, how many of you guys right now, I bought this phone on Best Buy last week for $800. That's how much iPhones cost. And I'm curious, how many of you guys would give me $800 for this phone? And like one or two people hands like, I guess I would. It's kind of used, so it's not really worth $800. I was like, okay, well, how many of you guys would give me $700 for it? How many give it $600? And as I dropped the price, more hands kind of went up. So eventually it's like, there's like 20 people who would pay me $10 for this. Like, okay, right? But I cut out on my margins. There's no money. I said, okay, that's what most people are doing is they're decreasing the price, losing their margins, and that's how they're trying to compete. I said, I'm gonna show you guys a magic trick. I was like, let me tell you a story about this phone. This is my phone. And what's cool about this phone is there's a lot of really cool things in here. So number one thing that's really exciting is I spent the last week transferring over everything I've ever bought in the past on this phone. So for example, whenever I buy a book or a course or a seminar or anything, my brother takes that book and he rips all the audios, puts it in audiobooks, and I put it on my phone. I said I had my accountant pull last month how much money we'd spent in audiobooks in the last 5 or 6 years, or courses, audiobooks, everything. And literally he's like, Russell, you bought so much stuff. He's like, you bought every book on sales, marketing, personal development, persuasion, influence, like everything known to man, every course you could buy. He's like, and I think at the time it was like over $500,000 I'd spent in these courses and seminars and all that kind of stuff, right? Now it's way over $1 million, but at the time that's how much it was, right? And I told him I took all those things, we digitalized them on all my phones. So literally you get every course that you would ever possibly dream of is on my phone right now today. It's ready to go. So the first thing you get when you get the phone, you also get every single course known to man. Second thing you get is right now I have my personal Rolodex. I pulled it up, I started showing myself, and I'm like, hey, there's Tony Robbins' phone number, there's Dean Graziosi, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. I was like, this is my Rolodex. If you have my phone, you have my entire Rolodex. So every deal you'd ever want to make that I've ever made, you have access to every single person's private contact information directly there. And in fact, if you have my phone, I'll even allow you to do a personal introduction to yourself. Say, hey, this is Russell. I want to introduce you to my friend so-and-so. And it's amazing, right? So there's that. So you get the $500,000 in courses. You get personal introduction to my entire network I built over the last 20 years. Number 3, and I started going through the next thing and the next thing. And I went through all the different apps. I'm like, there's an app called Voxstar here, which is a walkie-talkie app. My clients pay me $250,000 a year. They have direct access to ask me questions that they want. I'll give you access to as well. So you can Vox me whenever you want. Anytime you have a question, ask me. And just like my 250K clients, you get that for free for life, as long as you have the phone. And then, so went the whole thing. I said, okay, now I want to see how much you guys pay for this phone. Let's do a bidding auction, right? I said, how many of you now would pay me $800 for the phone? Whew, everyone's hands are up. I'm like, cool. How many of you pay $1,000? $10,000? And a couple hands go up. I'm like, I want you to be honest, because like one of you guys is going to give me money for this. So don't put your hand up unless you are willing to step up right now and pay for that. Okay? 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. 150,000, and hands are dropping. Get to the spot where I think we're like almost 500,000, and there's 3 people's hands are still up. I was like, you guys are kidding me, right? They're like, no. I'm like, if you're serious, come up right now, because someone's going to give me $500,000 right now. And so 3 guys came on stage. I was like, you guys are crazy. 15 minutes ago, I tried to sell this thing for $800. No one said yes. Now 3 of you are going to give me $500,000 for this phone. Why? And the guy grabbed the microphone. He said, after I saw all the value out of that phone, $500,000 actually seems cheap. Boom. Okay? That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do when we create an offer, right? We take something that is a commodity, we add enough value to all of a sudden it seems cheap. to pay $500,000 for an iPhone, okay? So that's what an offer looks like, okay? We have the thing, and it's like you add all these things to increase the perceived value, okay? You guys getting this? Is this getting you a little excited? Like, oh, this is how Russell makes all the money. He's creating these irresistible offers that are insane. Okay, all right, now, we do a young family event. It's called Unlock the Secrets for young entrepreneurs. And I remember at this event, I wanted to teach the parents how to create offers. And parents are always struggling. So I'm like, I'm gonna teach the kids. So I brought the kids on stage and I taught them the same principle I taught you guys. And I gave them a bunch of different businesses. So we gave them like a lawn mowing business, a lemonade stand, a dog walking stand, babysitting, slime training, funnel building, all these different businesses. And we had the kids sit down and create like, what would they do to make this shift it from a commodity to an offer, okay? And one of my favorites was Kiana here. She came up and she was someone who is a babysitter. And I asked her, I was like, hey, what kind of offer would you create, right? Because like there's 1,000 people that can babysit your kids, right? And what's the average cost to babysit a kid? I don't know, $5 an hour, $10 an hour, I don't know what it is anymore, $10 an hour, let's say, right? And then she came up, she said, okay, well, if you hire me to babysit your kids, I'll do, obviously I'm a babysitter, I'm a babysitter kids, so there's the cookie, there's the commodity, right? They said, but first thing when I show up is I'm not gonna just show up and watch cartoons with them, I'm gonna come with a bunch of games and activities. So kids show up, we're gonna play a bunch of games and activities. Number two, after the games and activities, then we're gonna go outside and we're gonna exercise, run around, get some fitness so that way they're building their physical body and they're not just sitting down and watching TV. When we come back in, I'm gonna cook dinner for them all. This is the dinner plan I have for them. When dinner's done, I'm gonna clean up all the plates and the dishes and make sure they're washed so that way when you come home, you don't have to worry about having a messy house. After that, I'm gonna play with the kids, I'm gonna read to them bedtime, and I'm gonna make sure they are asleep before you show up. That way when you come home, you don't have to worry about anything. You can just literally just go and you're done, right? And so that's exactly what we're gonna do. And she said the whole thing, I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I would pay you $50 an hour if you would go babysit my kids and do that, right? Because it's so much value versus everybody else. And so that's the thing I want you guys to understand. Like, that's how you make your product seem cheap, not by lowering the price and cutting the margins. It's by increasing the value, okay? Now, some of you guys are like, this is awesome, Russell, but what if I can't think of anything for my offer? Okay, so what I would recommend doing, a lot of you guys have heard me talk about funnel hacking in the past, where we look at somebody else's funnel and see what they did, but there's another thing I like to talk about called offer hacking, looking at what other people's offers look like, right? If you know you're selling a coaching program, look at somebody else's coaching program. What did they include? What were the elements they had inside of their offer, right? If you're selling software like me, what did Russell include in his offer? If you're selling a book or a course or a supplement, like look at other people's offer stacks and get ideas, okay? For me, every time I'm about to launch a new offer, I go and I find 5 or 6 other people who are selling similar things. Like if I'm doing a webinar selling something, I'm gonna go look at the webinar offer, like what are other people selling? Like, oh, that was cool, they did that, and that. I can create something similar to that to put into my offer stack as well, okay? So that's what offer hacking is, looking what other people are doing, okay? How many of you guys have ever seen me sell something in the past before? Okay, if you ever have, like if you're selling something similar, look at my offer stacks. Like there's a reason behind it. Every single time, there's a cookie at the top, right? Using my framework, where I'm teaching them number one thing, and then the question is like, if I give mouse cookie, okay, I solved that problem with the framework, what's the new problem it created? What's the new problem? And I go through all the different pieces until there's no like fear or concern because I solved all the problems inside the offer stack and boom, there's the offer. I can increase the perceived value. I can increase the cost because I'm not a commodity. I'm not fighting against everybody else. Mine is unique that only I can deliver. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. All right. Paradigm shift number 6. And this is one that's gonna be really cool for you guys, okay? When you start understanding and mastering offers, you can understand that you can stop paying for things with money and instead start paying for things with offers. The first time I ever heard this was from Myron Golden. And Myron came into my world, and we do a lot of events here in Boise, Idaho. Myron lives clear out in Florida, and so he's flying all the way from Miami, wherever he is in Florida, from Florida to Boise, which is just a long flight, right? And I remember after one of these events, he flew back, and he's like, Russell, I come to Boise like 3 or 4 times a year. I love it, but I am never flying commercial again. I was like, yeah, commercial sucks. He's like, no, you don't understand. I'm never flying commercial again. I was like, how are you going to do that? He's like, I'm going to have an offer pay for it. I'm like, what do you mean? And he told me, he's like, so basically what he did is he figured out how much it costs to book a private plane, right? And I don't know how much it costs, $100,000 to get to Boise and back or something, right? So then he created an offer. He sent it out to his audience. He said, hey, I'm flying to Boise, Idaho. I'm flying on a private plane, and I'm going to be in the air for 4 hours, and I got to fly home for 4 hours, so 8 hours. How many is like 8 hours consulting with me? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 people or 6 people, whatever it is, 6 people, and if each of you guys pay $30,000, you can come on the plane with me, and you get free consulting all the way there and all the way back. Okay, 6 people, that's $30,000. He made $180,000. He spent $100,000 on the flight, pocketed $8,000 or $80,000, and he didn't have to pay for his flight there and back. And then he did it the next time. And I've watched Myron every time he flies anywhere around the country, around the world. He does not fly commercial. What he does, he flies with offers. He creates an offer, allows people to fly with the plane with him. They fund the plane, right? They get tons of value. He gets to fly commercial or fly private and never has to pay for anything. Okay? So he just changed the paradigm, right? Never pay for things with money, pay for things with offers. Now, that may seem kind of like, somebody was like, that's cool for Myron, but that doesn't work in the real world. No, it does. In fact, here's another really cool story. This is, a lot of you guys know this singing group right here, the Beatles, one of my favorites of all time. But Paul McCartney once said to John Lennon before they were writing a song, like, let's write ourselves a swimming pool. What does that mean? Right? They had money. They could have obviously went and just bought a swimming pool and paid to do it, but instead they said, let's write ourselves a swimming pool. So they went in the studio, they wrote a song called Love, Love Me Do. They launched the song, made tons of money. From the money they got from that, they went and paid for the swimming pool, right? They didn't pay with it with their cash and their money, right? They let their offer pay for it. Okay? That's one of the big paradigm shifts. When you guys get good at making offers, you don't have to buy things anymore. The offer will pay for the thing. Okay? My mentor, Dan Kennedy, I've told a lot of stories about him today already, but Dan Kennedy has a quote. He says, send the bill to the herd, right? If you want to buy something, don't go and pay for it out of the cash you have. He said, instead, write a sales letter and send the bill to the herd. Have your audience, have your people pay you for an offer, and then use that money to invest in something. And kind of a funny side story, I think it was after one of Dan Kennedy's divorces. He got divorced, and one of his members sent him a message. It was like, hey, Dan, when are you sending out the offer? Dan's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you just went through a divorce. I'm assuming you lost half of everything. I'm sure you're not paying for it. So I assume that you're going to send us an offer. And Dan's like, you're right. Let me send the bill to the herd. He wrote a sales letter, created an offer, sent it out, and the people sent him all the money, and that's what paid for the divorce, okay? And so that's one of these cool things, when you start understanding it, like, you don't have to pay for things with money anymore. You just create an offer, and as Dan Kennedy says, send the bill to the herd. Okay, this is something I want to instill inside you guys' brains. So if you guys understand this is going to change your lives. First time I ever really got it, I read this book right here from Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you guys read it before? If you had, type Rich Dad in the comments, say Rich Dad, Rich Dad, Rich Dad. One of my favorite books. This was the book that got me into entrepreneurship. My dad bought me a copy of it, and he's like, Russell, you got to read this book. I'm like, cool, Dad. I don't read books, which is funny in hindsight, as I'm obsessed with books now. But I took the book, put it on my bedstand, and sat there for forever, right? And then one day, finally, I couldn't sleep at night, so I picked up, I read the entire book, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I got it, I got the whole idea. And one of the concepts he said in here was so powerful, right? He talked about his rich dad and his poor dad, okay? And his rich dad, obviously very wealthy. His poor dad was very not wealthy, right? And he said what was interesting, he said, I looked at both my rich dad and my poor dad, and they would both want to buy something. They both be presented with the same opportunity, but they had different ways that they communicated. He said, what happened is my poor dad would see something, someone would say, hey, I want you to buy this thing, or here's an investment opportunity. He's like, I can't afford that, right? That's what he was saying. He's like, but check this out. My rich dad would get the exact same opportunity. He'd look at the same thing and say, how can I afford that? Notice they're almost the same. I can't afford that. How can I afford it? It's almost the same words, right? The difference is you say, I can't afford that, right? You shut off our creativity, everything stops. Subconscious mind's like, I can't afford that, and it all ends, right? You say, how can I afford that? You change the question, you change everything, right? If you guys want something, it's not like, I can't afford that. It's like, cool, what's the offer I got to create to be able to pay for that? That's what Myron did, right? I never want to fly commercial again. Most of us would be like, I can't afford that. He's like, how can I afford that? Create an offer, send the bill to the herd, boom. Right? So that's what you guys understanding. How can I afford that? How can I afford that? That should be the message and the mantra. Okay, a good example of that. As I just mentioned, I collect old books. In fact, here is a pre-first edition Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success. Okay, if you study Napoleon Hill, as you guys know, I'm obsessed with them. You've seen these manuscripts and books I showed earlier. But on eBay, there was a pre-first edition Laws of Success. Only known copy, this complete, and the only signed copy for $1.55 million. There's a listing. So I saw that. I was like, I want that really bad. My wife will leave me if I spend $1.5 million on an old book, right? But I saw that. I was like, I want this. I want that book so bad. How can I afford that? How can I afford that? How can I afford that? Okay, at the same time, I got excited about Atlas Shrugged and Prime Mover, right? And I got these statues. I build these statues. And so, like, in the event center we're building, guys, these are 9-foot statues holding a 6-foot globe. Like, how do I afford that, right? And then I wanted to build an event center. Like again, I had this vision for this thing I wanted to create. But between the $1.5 million book, the statues, it was way more money than I had, that I could afford, that I could justify logically at all, right? Emotionally, I was like, I want this really, really bad, but logically it made no logical sense, right? So I'm looking at this, I keep thinking about it, I'm dreaming about it, I'm seeing these books, like all the kind of stuff, I keep thinking about it, and all of a sudden, I could hear Robert Kiyosaki saying, how can I afford that, right? I hear Dan Kennedy saying, Russell, send the bill to the herd. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? How do I create an offer, a level 10 opportunity for somebody where they will pay for this experience, right? And so I sat down and I spent a little while trying to figure out what is an offer I could create. What's $1 million offer? Can I create an offer for $1 million? Because if I could get 10 or 20 people to give me $1 million for this offer, it would fund this entire thing, right? How would I do that? And so I went down and I actually created a video with an idea for an offer. And we were at our event in Mexico. We did a big event in Mexico every year. So it's called Mastermind in Paradise. We're down at Mastermind in Paradise. We had about 500 of my top clients were there in the room with us. And I was going to like make this offer, but I got all scared ahead of time. I'm like, nah, and I freaked out. How many of you guys have ever like wanted to make an offer, but you chicken out, you get scared? That was me. So I understand that. Like $1 million offer for me, I'd never made one. I was scared to death, right? And I'm at the thing. In fact, I was supposed to go on stage and like make this $1 million offer to people. I had a video I was going to show them and I was going to make the offer. And about 5 minutes before, I'm like, no. And I chickened out, told my team, never mind, cancel the offer. Let's just skip this session. Like, cool. Totally understand. Like, that's insane to make $1 million offer. No one's gonna buy it anyway, right? All the things. And then Eileen Wilder, you guys know Eileen. You're gonna have a chance to hear from her tomorrow. Eileen came up to me. She's like, so you're making the offer, right? I'm like, no. She's like, why not? Like, I don't know. She's like, just make the offer. It's like what Myron said, right? The offer you don't make is the offer they can't take. She's like, just make the offer. She's like, if you get one person to buy it, you can get your books you want really bad. If you get two, like now you're a prophet, you know? And so I was like, so we sat down. This is 5 minutes before we're supposed to go on stage. And that paper right there is us mapping, okay, what's everything? They're gonna get this, they're gonna get this. We mapped out what the offer actually looked like. I went back on stage. I came up and said, hey, everyone, I gotta show you guys a video. I showed them this video that went through the same process we're talking about, which is hook, story, offer. There was a hook at the very beginning, which hook was like, I'm gonna make you guys $1 million offer. And then I told them a story to increase the perceived value of the offer. And by the way, the next session, we're going deep into story selling, okay? And then I made them the offer for $1 million. And how many of you guys wanna know what happened? You guys curious? Say, Russell, tell me what happened. Like, you guys wanna know? Okay, imagine how scared I was. I was freaking out. I go push play on the video. Video's playing. It's in the video said I have to come on stage and make this offer and walk them through exactly what they're gonna get, right? Offer stack. Here's the first thing. Give you a mouse cookie. Here's the first thing, the second thing, the third thing, right? And so I was so scared, so anxiety. The video's playing. And when I got done, actually, I don't wanna tell you this yet. What I'd rather do would be more fun. How many of you guys wanna see the video? Okay, this video you're gonna see is how I created $1 million offer. And I'm showing you guys this not because I'm trying to make you guys $1 million offer. If you want to buy it, feel free to wire me $1 million. I'm in for that, okay? But more so because I want to show you how I used a hook, a story to present an offer, okay? $1 million offer. You guys want to watch that? If you want to watch it, say, yeah, show me the $1 million offer. Show me the money. Okay, all right, you guys want to see it? Cool. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this really quick video. This is how I made $1 million offer. When I come back, I'll let you know how many people in the room actually signed up for it, or if anyone did. It could have been a complete flop, but you'll find out when the video's over. Check this out.
What's up, Inner Circle, Atlas, Category Kings, also 2CCX, and everyone here at Mastermind Paradise. I want to make you a very special video today because today I want to make you $1 million offer. Now, before I tell you what that is, I want to give you some context and tell you a story. So, as you know, you've been hearing me talk about this thing that I'm building in Boise. This Russell guy keeps buying all these old books and he's freaking out about it. Now I'm building a library. A library. A lot of you guys know I'm building a 20,000 square foot library / museum for all my books. In the last 24 months, I've bought probably 8,000 or 9,000 books now. Spent over 8 figures on old first edition books. And you're probably thinking like, either Russell is crazy or he has a vision for something really cool. And so I want to tell you the vision. As I was going through all of the Napoleon Hill stuff, right? In fact, these are some first edition manuscripts that was sent by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. They sent me manuscripts of books that haven't been published yet. As amazing as Outwitting the Devil is, Napoleon Hill wrote another book called Outwitting the Beast that nobody's seen. And I have the manuscripts in my hand. And I've been going through all these things. It's fascinating. One of the things that Napoleon Hill tried to do, from the very beginning, he had a vision. He wanted to create a school for success. He knew that he was going to go and interview all of the most successful people on the planet, and he was going to write this philosophy, and he spent 20 years doing that, and then he wrote The Laws of Success. And The Laws of Success was a hit. As the money started coming in, his first thing was I'm going to go establish a school for success. And he bought this huge land and had a house on it, and he was going to be building out a school, and his whole vision for what he was going to create. And it was amazing. It was going to be the very first place, like a college that you could go to where you're not going to learn the stupid things that don't actually matter, but you learn true success principles to create the next generation of wealthy people in the world. He was so excited for it, and then shortly after he bought the estate and everything, he had the vision what he was going to create.
The tremendous crowds which you see gathered outside the stock exchange are due to the greatest crash in the history of the New York Stock Exchange in market prices.
That's when there was the Depression, and he ended up losing the home, losing the land, losing everything, and the vision was put on hold. He literally worked with the presidents of the United States trying to solve the Depression. In fact, he was the one that gave Franklin D. Roosevelt the quote,
that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
which changed people out of the depression and started bringing back prosperity. And then shortly afterwards, when he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which was written at the end of the depression to help give people faith and hope, and he wrote this book and it took off and it blew up. And then he decided, I'm gonna go build a school of success. And he started working towards that again. And then the next trial in his life hit and he lost it all and he wasn't able to. And fast forward through the rest of his life, he kept trying to go back to that goal, kept trying to go back to it. And eventually he retired. And a little while later, he met W. Clement Stone, who was someone who had read the book Think and Grow Rich and built one of the largest insurance companies on the planet based on the principles.
This is W. Clement Stone saying, I feel healthy, I feel happy, I feel terrific.
W. Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill partnered together, got Napoleon Hill out of retirement, and then they started a company together teaching these philosophies again. And sure enough, right away, Napoleon Hill's like, how do we build this into a school? How do we, maybe it's a franchise, maybe we have schools all over the world. He kept trying to pursue this vision, but it never happened. And a couple of years ago when I started this idea, I started buying these old books and we bought the land to build the museum and the event center on, and all these things started happening. At first, the vision wasn't super clear, but I did know it was something related to that. The problem though with any type of school, it's like a physical school, is people have to come to the place. They have to come to Boise to go to physical school. They have to go to Ohio or wherever the school's at, right? To go and attend it, which limits you by geography and region, so many things. And if you really want to change the world, you can't create a school that's just in one spot. You have to create a school that's everywhere. And so I want you to imagine, it's the year 3000. And somebody decides they want to enroll in Success School. And so they enroll, and what happens, they get a box in the mail, they open it up, and there's these amazing VR goggles. He puts on these VR goggles, and as he puts them on, instantly he's transformed into an actual location in Boise, Idaho, where there's this huge event center, and there's a museum, and he walks in the front door, and he walks around and sees all of the first edition books from all the greatest minds of our time. And they can walk over and literally grab the book and start flipping through it and reading these books digitally. And they walk in the event center, and they see this amazing event center, they see the stage, and they sit down in one of the seats, and they pull out the equivalent of a TV guide, and they're like, oh my gosh, did you realize that Tony Robbins spoke here before he passed away? I want to watch that presentation. And they click a button, and in real time it pops up, and you see Tony Robbins in 3D in that event center, giving a 3-day event on his philosophy in life. And they have a chance to sit there and watch this thing. And then they can sit and look at the person left and right of them and who's watching the same thing, and have conversations and dialogues, and go in the other room and have mastermind meetings and do this all virtually and take the glasses off. And that was one day in school. We're lucky that all of us here have benefited from the works of amazing people who came before us, right? We're able to, like Tony Robbins say, take a decade of someone's life. Someone spends a year of their life trying to figure out health or relationships or how to grow a business or whatever it is, right? They spend all this time trying to learn this thing, and then they write a book and they leave it behind. And that book is their legacy. It's their gift to us from everything they learned during their entire life. And that's what we are creating, is we're creating something where all the greatest thought leaders of our time will have a chance to leave a legacy behind for the future. And so that's what I'm creating. I know it's kind of crazy. The investment so far on my side has been insane. Just acquiring the books and the original manuscripts of all these things. A lot of my mission obviously is helping you as entrepreneurs, and most of you guys are the people who someday should be presenting in this library, sharing your philosophies on life, on health, on relationships, on whatever it is that you are the best in the world at. And that's what this event center is created for us, for our people, for the 1% crazy who are crazy enough to think they can change the world. Because as you know and I know, we're the only ones that actually can. And so that's kind of the vision of what's happening. Now, I want to take you guys inside the library to kind of show you what it looks like. And I keep calling the library, it's closer to a museum and an event center, but I want to transform you guys and show you inside so you can see what we're building. If you look at now, after 3 years of dreaming and visualizing, working with architects to build out all the plans, the event center, it's a 20,000 square foot building. Half of the building is a library / museum holding the most rare first edition books and manuscripts from all the greatest thought leaders of all time. And on the other side is an actual event room where we can stand on stage, we can present, we can teach, we can train, we can capture all the ideas that are worth capturing and hearing about. It's really a spot for people to come to have a chance to get away from the world and to think and to share and to talk and to be around people who are like them, who think like them, who act like them, so that our visions can grow even bigger. So I want to walk you through some of the cool things that you'll find when you walk through the doors the very first time. One of my favorite things is this statue set that I had commissioned.
So these are like a resin right now, but I painted them to look like, what they might look like in a patina. I just can't wait to have those at full scale. I'm looking up at it. It's gonna be, because he'll be like this tall. He's 8 feet tall. That's gonna be awesome.
When I was first thinking about this and brainstorming, I read the book Atlas Shrugged, and it talks all about the producers, the prime movers, the entrepreneurs of the world. They're the ones who are literally carrying the entire weight of the world on their shoulders. And it talks about what happens when society gets to the point where the government and outside things put so much pressure that it's no longer worth it for Atlas to continue to hold the world up, right? Well, he stands up and he shrugs and walks away. And that's kind of what this is Atlas shrugging and then walking away from the world. And you look like this is the progression of what can happen to entrepreneurs, prime movers. And my goal in everything I do in my business, you notice it from my books to the courses, the events, everything we do is all about supporting the prime movers, supporting those who are holding the weight of the world on their shoulders, because I don't want you to shrug and walk away. Your responsibility is great. The way you're changing your people's lives, I can't imagine what this world would be like without you. And so that's what this all symbolizes. We will have 9-foot versions of Atlas holding a 6-foot globe as a constant reminder of who this is for. It's for the prime movers, the driven, the people like you. After you get past the Atlas statues, then you'll have a chance to look in and see all of the books. My goal with this was like to try to find the history in these books, right? Again, manuscripts, like this is the first edition manuscript, an unpublished work by Napoleon Hill called The Secrets to Master Salesmanship. Like this is literally something he typed on his typewriter. It's all of the stuff. In fact, this is the first edition of his typewriter. Like Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, these books written on this actual typewriter. Like those things are all in there. Dan Kennedy literally has signed in his will that when he or his fax machine dies, we'll have Dan Kennedy's actual fax machine in there. Like we're finding all the artifacts for business, for success, or personal development that mean a lot to us as the prime movers. All the first editions, like the pre-first edition of Laws of Success, were in 3 years before the actual Laws of Success was published. And there's only 2 known copies in the world, and only 1 that's signed, and we have it. It'll be in the library. So much of what is published nowadays at seminars and events and in books is a regurgitation from this person, heard from this person, all the way down to like someone's quoting something from stage they read off an Instagram post and acting like they made it up. This is coming back to the beginning. The people that actually discovered this and how did they find that and what were they thinking, and like that's what this is all about. Instead of playing phone booth and learning from the influencers 30 levels deep, it's learning from the foundation, from the source of where these ideas first came from. Like imagine coming here and spending a week in the library and reading from these manuscripts. Like it's insane. It's magical. Like just even being in this room for me, it's like spiritual. Like it feels, there's a weird energy when you're here because you're just like, wow, these are, this is the life works of some of the greatest minds of our time who transformed the world, who opened up the ability for us to do all the things we do today. We knew that as we were building this, it couldn't just be a normal room. We needed some really cool things. So in the center of the museum, when you walk in, there's a button you can push and the floor actually will open up and reveal a spiral stairway that you can walk down. And as you walk down, some of the most rare books will be down there, protected by from humidity and from heat and from everything down there. And as you walk to the bottom of the spiral staircase, there'll be 1 chair. And there'll only be 1 person allowed a time there to go and have complete solitude. Superman would go and he'd have his fortress of solitude where he could study and he could learn, he could be by himself. And this is that for the prime movers. When you have a chance to come, you could have a chance to be in there with your thoughts, with the greatest works of our time. And so that's what's happening right in the middle of the museum. Come on now. So cool. And then the third thing is, obviously, everything happening in the museum is what was left behind by the greatest minds who came before us. And the event center now is about capturing the minds we have today. The reasons why I want this museum to have these amazing things is I want it to be able to attract the greatest minds of our time. Tony Robbins or Jordan Peterson or Michael Jordan or Oprah or something. Say, hey, how would you like to come see the archives of the greatest success works ever created? And get them to come in to see these things, and after they're there, put them on stage and have a chance to capture their philosophy on life and success and personal development and things that change their lives as well. And when we capture them, I don't want to just capture this in like a video, like how many videos are on YouTube? Like I want to make something special. The technology we'll be equipped in this room with, we'll be able to capture everything in 3D. So that way in 2,000 years from now, when somebody in Africa or Australia decides to sign up for our School of Success and they put on the VR goggles, they'll see and experience Tony Robbins the way that we all have a chance to experience live, in person, 3D, real. We don't want this just to be another video on YouTube. We want this to be an experience. Because like going to an event and having that experience can change your life. You can get value from other ways, but man, there's nothing like experiencing that live. And so the entire event center is going to be a spot to capture people in as real of life as possible so we can extend them, their life, and their legacy for forever. All right, that brings us down to step number 3. As you know, there's a hook, there's a story, and now I've got to make you an offer. I do this knowing full well that for most of you guys, this offer is not something that's going to be a good fit for you. But I do know that for some of you guys, this is the thing you're looking for. It's the reason why I've gone on the pursuit of this. Like the question I keep asking myself is, how do I live forever? How do I extend my legacy? Like I've spent so much time and energy. I don't want when I end that the work ends as well. I know that most of you guys who are here, the reason why you keep doing this is because you love what you do. This is a mission impact thing for you. And I've seen so many authors who had such a great legacy, and as soon as they passed away, it ended. There's very few authors who have outlived their lifespan. And somebody asked me in one of my Atlas meetings, said, why are you doing this, Russell? What is your purpose? And I said, the reason why, because I realized that if I can extend the life of these authors, then the vehicle I'll have to create to do that will extend my life as well. For some of you guys who see the vision that I do, and you want to extend your life and your legacy for forever, I want to give you an opportunity. It's a rare opportunity. It's only going to be here once, and then it'll be gone for forever. But it's an opportunity for you to become a founding member in the vision of what we're creating, and then by doing so, extend your legacy into the future forever as well. So what does that look like? Well, as I was thinking through this and researching it, Kevin Richards on my team told me a story about when the Rams were building their football stadium, they needed to raise $1 billion. I thought, well, how are we going to raise $1 billion to do this?
LA Rams and the Chargers are ready to start selling their premium seats at their new stadium in Inglewood.
The majority of its seats, if not all, will require a personal seat license or PSL.
Kevin was one of thousands and thousands of people who went and they pre-bought a seat inside the stadiums. And the way it works is anytime there's any event happening in the stadium, he owns those seats. So he has first right of refusal. So he still has to buy a ticket to the event. He doesn't get the seats for free, but he has the first right to buy the ticket to sit in his seats. If Britney Spears is coming in town, he gets a message a week earlier saying, hey, Britney Spears is coming. Do you want to reserve your seats? If he says yes, he gets first right of refusal on those seats. If he says no, then the seats go to the open market and they sell them to somebody else. But he has first right of refusal to those seats for as long as he holds that seat license. He spent $50,000 for those 2 seats, and they did that with the entire stadium and raised over $1 billion to build the stadium. As I looked at that model, I realized that that's something similar to what I want to do here. Inside the event center, there are a little over 100 seats. And obviously there's front row, which are way better than the second row, which are way better than the third row. What I want to offer you guys is the ability to buy a seat license where you would own the rights to that seat. You still have to buy tickets to the events that are happening, but you would have first right of refusal every single time. So for example, if we have a Tony Robbins event, and Tony's coming for 3 days to teach his philosophy on success, you would have the first right of refusal to buy that seat. You buy the seat, you show up, and that is your seat. And if you don't want to take that seat, you can sell it to somebody else. Or if you just leave it alone, then we could sell it on the open market. But that would be your seat. You had first right of refusal for any event. Now again, my goal is to bring the greatest minds of all time. So that means bringing Tony, bringing Oprah, bringing Jordan Peterson, bringing Michael Jordan, bringing like all of the greatest minds in personal development, success in every genre. Like I want to bring those people and have them present, which means you'd have first right of refusal for any of those events. You would have that for every single thing that's happening here inside of the actual event center. So I wanted to make sure that this offer for you, despite the fact that you're getting your own seat with your name on it. So anyone who comes will see like, this is that person's seat. Like they'll know it's yours. On top of that, I was like, how do I make this so this offer is completely irresistible? So it's not just costing you money, but it's free, or it's better than free. And so inside of this, I wanted to build something that I think for some of you guys, this alone will make you as much or more money than your actual businesses today. Every single license that somebody has inside of this, it's going to come a virtual seat license. What does that mean? Is that depending on which row your seat is, you may have 10, 20, or 30 virtual licenses to any of the events that are happening. So that means is you can tell your entire community, like, hey, I'm going to go hear Michael Jordan for 3 days, teach his philosophies on success in life. I've got 30 tickets where you can watch streaming with me. And then we're gonna do a mastermind afterwards and go deep, or whatever it is, right? And you can sell those tickets. You can sell those tickets for 10, 20, 30 grand a piece. It's significant, especially when you figure out for one event. And if we're doing an event every week or every other week or however often we're doing those, and every single time you can sell access to those, that benefit alone, I want you guys to understand, like, if we do 20 events over the year and you sell tickets to all 20 of those events to your people, or just it gets your highest level mastermind members to stick longer because of these amazing things you're giving them, you should be able to recoup your entire investment year number 1. And then after that, every event we do afterwards is just pure profit in your pocket without any of the costs or the stress or anything. That's one way this becomes better than free for you. The second way, and this is depending on where you are, which row your seat is. So this isn't available for all the seats, but for those of you guys who are in the front row, you will also have a chance to do your 3-day event here at the actual event center. Now that means a couple of things. Number one, it's your event, means you will have the ability to sell access to your people to your event. Okay, so my guess is for most of you guys, you'll make at least $1 million just having people coming to experience you teaching yourself live. Okay, so that alone will again completely cover the investment of the seat. But number 2, and this is what I think is even more important, is that we'll be filming it in our event center with all the 3D cameras and everything. And what will happen at the end is when it's done is you will be part of the event center. Your teachings, your philosophy, everything you shared on stage will be there. And that means, again, in 3,000 years from now, when the kid from Argentina pulls out a TV guide and he's like looking at Tony Robbins and sees your name, he clicks a button and boom, you're there teaching him live. even though you've been passed for so long. My goal with this is to make it better than free, but more so is to extend you and your legacy for forever. Those are some of the benefits. There's more, and I'll talk about that probably in a presentation or some slides or somewhere. I'm creating it for these authors who have passed on. I've created it for me to extend my legacy. I'm creating it for you because I believe in what you guys are doing. I believe in your message. I believe in your mission. Like, the reason why I kill myself every single day still is because I know that you have the ability to change people's lives if you can get your message out to the world. That's why we built ClickFunnels. That's why we write books. That's why we do all these things. But what about in 100 years from now or 500 years from now? Like, I don't want that legacy to end when you end, right? You're putting in the time, the effort. Like, there are people who are coming in the future who need what you have to say. And if we don't figure out ways to extend your legacy, then it could be gone forever. And so I want to invite you to become one of our founding members. There's no hard pitch. If you're interested in something like this, let me know. There's only 100 seats in the entire event center as a whole, and we're only selling licenses to the first 2 or 3 rows. And so if you think this is something that would make sense for you, the $1 million investment doesn't scare you to death, you realize and you know exactly how you can sell access to the seats. You know that your 2 or 3 day event will completely make the money back. If you know this is something that's going to be easier than free for you, then come let me know. Text me, Vox me, run up to me. The seats are going to be very, very limited. When we get back from Mastermind in Paradise, I'll be making this presentation to other friends. People who aren't here in the room with us today, but people like Tony Robbins, like Dean, like a lot of the other great thought leaders of our time. I'll be making personal presentations to them as well. So if you want the ability to have your name next to theirs and to mine and to these other authors in the library as one of our founding members, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything you learned so far. And if nothing else, hopefully you had a chance to see how to pitch and prepare a $1 million offer, and hopefully help you in your offers in the future. Thanks so much, you guys. I cannot wait to help you extend your legacy forever.
All right, guys, there you go. You saw $1 million off. Is that crazy or what? I see people in the comments like, how can I make $1 million? How can I earn $1 million now? Who's the herd I can send my bill to? Because he wants anyway, which is awesome. So, okay, so I told you guys before, I was gonna tell you the result. Can you guess how many people do you think in that room bought the $1 million offer? Drum roll, please. Here we go. Kind of crazy. $14 million raised from that one offer. Is that crazy? The offer you don't make is the offer they can't take, you guys. Okay, that is the power. All right, so what I want you to think about right now is this. What is your level 10 offer? What is it you can create? All right, what's the problem? The $1,000 problem you can solve for 1,000 people? Or what's the $10,000 problem you can solve for 100 people? Or maybe it's a $25,000 problem you can solve for 40 people, right? That's what this all begins. What's the very first thing we're gonna create, right? And we know that after we figure out the offer, we gotta create a framework. There's the cookie. And we start looking, okay, now we have the cookie. What are the other parts of the offer, the other components of the offer that now makes a complete system that can change somebody's life? Okay, that's what I want you guys to do. So again, the goal for this entire event, step number 1 is figuring out your level 10 offer. Okay, hopefully at this point you guys understand the tools and everything. Like, okay, now I know what I need to create for my level 10 offer. We're gonna give you a chance to kind of work on that a little bit here in a second. Okay, the next session we're gonna talk about how to create your one-to-many sales presentation, which is gonna be really fun. Step number 3, as you guys know, we're gonna talk about building out your virtual stage, AKA your funnel. And then step number 4 is get you on the road to 2 commas worth of impact. But that's session number 2, which is offer secrets. What I'm gonna do right now is, I know we've been going way over time. I get so excited, I just keep talking. I hope you guys don't mind. But we're gonna do the workshop, but we're gonna actually do the workshop during lunch. So I'm gonna give you the workshop assignment right now, and then during lunch, we're doing something really, really cool. And this is not a lunch that I want you to leave for. I wanna make sure you guys order Uber Eats, eat in, whatever it is, go grab something really quick, because during lunch, we have something that's very, very important, okay? I got a documentary we wanna show you guys, and the reason why I'm showing the documentary, you'll understand it more during the next session, but it's gonna help break a lot of false beliefs that are probably holding you guys back. Plus, during the documentary, you're gonna have a chance to see me fail on stage. How many of you guys wanna see me try to speak in front of 35,000 people and then kind of bomb in front of everybody? You guys want to see that? That's what this documentary is all about. A lot of times we share like the highlight reel of like, oh, here's how much money I made. Here's how much money I made. But again, I spoke at Grant Cardone's 10X event with 9,000 people. This was the next one that had 35,000 people. And so we thought this was gonna be the biggest thing. I'm gonna do $10 million in sales. We were so excited. So we brought a whole team to video the entire experience. And when it got done, we didn't quite hit the goals we wanted to. I was like, delete the footage. And they're like, no, and they made this documentary. So I want to show it to you guys. There's so many reasons I want to show it to you guys, but number 1 is just, you're going to see behind the scenes of what it looks like to create an offer, go on a stage, speak to a bunch of people, and just kind of see the whole process it's going to be a lot of fun. How many of you want to see that with us today? Okay, that is our lunch break today. There's no break. This is our lunch party during today. But here's the workshop I want you guys also doing during the lunch break, okay? So this is what I'm thinking is like, what are the things you could include inside of your offer stack? Okay, what are those things? So again, what is your cookie at the very top? After they get the cookie, which is probably your core framework, teaching them the thing, right? Solves the first problem. What's the next problem it creates? There's a second part of the offer, the third part. So you're gonna create, like, what are the elements of things you could put inside your offer? Okay, and you don't have to have these things done right now. These things you can create later. I just want you to think through, what are the things that would create an offer that's so irresistible, right? It increases value so much that people would be crazy to not give you the money. That's what I want you guys thinking about during lunch. And then after you have that, go and post it inside the hangoutwithrussell.com. Go to that community, go to the thread, and go post those things in there. That way, everyone has a chance to see exactly what your offer stack is, and it'll get the ideas in your head spinning as you start seeing everybody else in the community also posting what their offer stack's going to be. Does that sound good? Okay, with that said, then what we're gonna do, again, we're gonna push right now to the 10X documentary teaching the ClickFunnels story. Again, you have a chance to be speaking in front of 35,000 people. Yeah. Again, not one of the highlights of my life, but something that I think would be really cool for you guys to see. I'm excited for you to see behind the scenes what happens at events, the ups, the downs, the chaos, the craziness, and I hope you enjoy it. So that said, work on the workshop, break to lunch during this documentary, and I'll see you guys back here in less than an hour. Thanks, everybody.